Welcome everyone to episode 45 of the Looks Like a Movie podcast. My name's Kevin. I'm here with Doug and Owen, and today we're going to be talking about Wonka, but of course we're going to start with what we watched this week. Owen, would you like to start this week? Since I know you're
Yeah,
prepared.
last night, Kevin and some of our friends, we watched Carol, in the
Real
and I
ass
really like
movie, by
that
the
Todd
way.
Hayes film. I saw May December a couple times recently, his new film, and Carol's like his most popular film, and I really like
Is
that.
is Carol just your second film of his now?
Well, I've seen he did the Velvet Underground documentary that I really
Right.
like.
Yeah.
But I've also seen the Karen Carpenter thing.
Oh, so you've seen more than me, actually.
Karen
I've
Carpenter's
only seen
Superstar,
3 of his movies.
uh, Superstar, the Karen Carpenter. You're not able to see
Yeah. I hear
it.
that one's really good.
Yeah, I had to watch that for school. But I really like Carol. There's this really great, like, I don't know, first scene is like very Hitchcock. There's a lot of Hitchcock and Hayes. Love that stuff. I didn't really watch much. I did some prep for an episode that we're gonna
Yeah.
record tomorrow.
No,
But I won't
no
I won't
spoilers,
go
no
I
We're
won't
not
spoilers. I'm
go
recording it
in
gonna
tomorrow.
I
We're
won't go
recording
into
it
that,
next week.
no. We can say that we're recording it tomorrow, but I'm gonna give away what it is
Yeah,
at the end of the
it's
episode.
a secret
Yeah.
episode.
If you stick around till the end, you'll know what it is.
But that I really didn't watch much, like, else. I didn't really that's like that was my week.
Fair enough. Doug, would you like to go?
So I didn't watch this last week from the episode releasing when this episode comes out, but technically it's been a week. I have not been watching movies. I watched Owen's new short. It's
True,
called Old
true.
Magic.
True.
That shit was gas.
True.
Big fan of that.
Yeah, I really
Everybody
like it as
go
well.
watch it and rate it 5 stars on Letterboxd.
That's the only one
We need to
with
pump
not
those
like
numbers up. We need to pump the Owen numbers up.
Yeah.
that's the only one with not like 60 half stars.
Yeah, because me and Hardy started the trend of actually rating this one.
It
And
might be that, like, if like at the beginning they just see like it's like
Well,
a ton of
people
half
rate,
stars, it's
yeah.
easier to like you
Oh,
gotta start off strong.
this is a very positive graph for you, though, Owen. I gotta say, I like.
Yeah.
Kind of ridiculous. This is looking like a Letterbox 250 kind of
Yeah.
graph.
Yeah,
yeah, we need to get just like 49,000 more ratings.
there we go. On my
Oh, but
way.
they don't count shorts though, do they?
Oh, right. Well,
Anyway, continue, Doug.
and other than that, I've been playing some video games. I've been,
Yeah.
I've been playing Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. That shit is fun. Kind of a hard game to recommend in some regards, but I like it a lot. I've been vibing. What have you been up
Real.
to, Kevin?
Yeah, time to
I've
start
been
plugging. I'm gonna start
vibing.
plugging my 2K squad now that we're talking about video games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did watch a lot this week, or not a lot, but some of it, of course, is like you said, prep for the next episode that we're
The
recording.
secret episode.
Right, yeah, that won't be a secret like an hour from now.
Yeah, I have more prep than I'm gonna do like right after we're done recording this.
I did see at the beginning of the week. I went to the movies 5 times this week. Well, it will be 5 times after I go tonight. But
What are you seeing
I
tonight?
saw. I'm seeing Monster tonight, the new Koreeda movie.
I
Which
know
I'm
nothing
excited
about that.
for.
I heard
I
it's
don't
good.
know anything about I don't know anything plot wise, but I did like his movie Broker last year, which was the first movie I've seen from him.
Okay,
So this will be the second
Okay.
one. I like that one a lot. I think it'll be good. But at the beginning of the week, I saw Eileen in theaters, which started off so strong. Like Eileen, first 2 acts are like you're maybe
That's what everyone's been saying, which is kind of
like
like a
maybe
funny.
you're getting a great movie, and then the 3rd act happens, and you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
that's not the movie that I wanted this to be.
I
Which
need to
like
watch Eileen bad.
but people seemingly really like the book, and it's the same story. So I wonder how
Okay.
those things differ, because it just feels weird in the movie. It does not feel like a movie that should be 90 minutes long.
So I don't know about Eileen, but here's what I'm going to say about the people like the book thing. When you're like, oh, the movie's bad, but maybe the book's good, even if the book is like the same story. People that read books, that read like contemporary fiction like this, are way more forgiving for like bad writing than
I
people that are
agree.
pretty
I mean,
critical of
like
film.
one of my big problems with like trying to get into reading more in terms of like for example, Letterboxd has shown me so many great movies that I wouldn't have known about. But like when I try to use Goodreads, the it is just like, dude, there was a movie or a book, I'm sorry, that I don't want to name the book because I feel like this is just like rude, but
No,
like
drop it, drop it, drop it.
no,
Drop
no,
it,
no, I'm
drop
not gonna do that
it.
because books aren't my thing, and I don't know enough about books. But
Let's
like
stand there books on the
there was a book
podcast.
that won like one of the Goodreads awards of the year. Like people love that shit. It has like a 4.4 rating, and I bought the book and I read like the first 3 chapters, and I my understanding is that it's a book for adults. It is written like for a fifth grader. I was like, this
Yeah.
is the book of the year. Like I was very confused. I was like, this writing is really like really, really like childlike. I was like, and then like the main character is like a 35-year-old woman. I'm like, this clearly is not made for kids, but it feels like like it's written like it's made for kids. I was like, gee, like this is the book you voted one of the best books of the year. I was like shocked. That's why I don't really like. It's
There
hard
was
to
this tweet.
navigate Goodreads.
There's this tweet that was saying how like Goodreads is actually useless for figuring out whether or not a book is good or not.
Yeah, because then like you look at like I think I saw the tweet you're talking about, and it's like a lot of these like great like
You'll see like
classic
like
pieces
Jean
of,
Cocteau has like a
yeah,
3.1, and then a
that's
book
what I'm
about like
saying.
wolf
Like
smut will have like a 4.8. Like
yeah, which like I don't mind people giving high ratings to
I
like
don't mind wolf
contemporary books
smut.
that are like yeah sure like that's what I'm saying. Like if everybody likes it, but it's crazy that you see that and then you see like these like classic works have like a 3.4, and I'm just like come on, like it's so hard to tell what's good or not when you're not a
That's gonna be
reader.
Letterboxd in a year, bro.
Oh come on.
no, I mean here's the thing. No, we say that though. Like this is the but like this isn't serious and it doesn't matter because this is all made up stuff. But like Letterboxd is trending in this direction. It is Letterboxd is going to like.
The thing is like for all the like new movies that come out that get like a high rating on Letterboxd, it's not like those classic like great movies are getting low ratings. You know what I mean? Like Goodreads,
Time will tell.
but it's not really. I mean, like,
Is
but you know what I
Citizen
mean.
Kane
Like,
on the top 250?
Citizen Kane is not on the top 250.
yeah, sure, but like it's not like it doesn't have like a 4.2. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Goodreads, I think is way more drastic. Where like you see,
Yeah, like the Citizen Kane of books on Goodreads has a 2.8.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like it's I don't think it's the same
The
thing.
Citizen
Like,
Kane
at
of
least-
books.
No, I think I'm not going to say what my favorite books are on the podcast, but some of my favorite. I think all of my favorite. I think all of like my top 3. Like I think 3 of my top
Why
5
not,
favorite
Doug?
books have.
Oh,
like,
I think
less
I
than
know
a
what your favorite is,
3.5.
right? I think you've told me what your favorite is.
Like all of like a lot of my favorite books, which I consider to be great works, like aren't like they all have like less than 3.5s or whatever on Goodreads, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, but it makes sense why that book would not have a high rating.
You only haven't read it, buddy.
They're review bombing that shit. They're review bombing.
Anyway, to get back on track, to get back to what I watched this week, I watched Leave the World Behind, which like
The Obama movie.
Right? Yeah, I mean that's one way to
that's how he
describe
watched it.
No, it was like I don't know. It's not like the worst movie of the year or anything, but it was pretty disappointing all around. Then I went to the early screening for The Iron Claw, which I was so happy to see early. One of like my 5 most anticipated movies of the year, and it lived up to those expectations greatly. I cried like 6 times. I thought it was fantastic. Everybody in the cast is outstanding. There's even like some things about it that really surprised me. It's a really great movie. I hope that people go and see it when it comes out in theaters next weekend, or I guess
You're too busy
this
watching
weekend at the time that you're
Aquaman.
listening to it. That's true. I watched.
Wait, that's tough. It's coming out against Aquaman and Ferrari.
No, Ferrari comes out on Christmas, so this comes out the weekend before. So this comes out like 3 or 4. But yeah, technically, it will be going against Ferrari.
Everybody
but,
will
like,
be on Netflix watching that chopped up version of Rebel Moon.
The actual weekend release is Iron Claw, Aquaman 2, Anyone But You, and then Christmas gets Ferrari and The Color Purple, which like The Color Purple will probably dominate the like, you know. I think Ferrari will do good, but anyway, that's all.
I don't think Ferrari will do good.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
It'll do good on my letterbox.
I watched Dogtooth to prepare for Poor Things, which is a movie that a lot of people told me was like really disturbing. They were like, "Be careful watching that." Like a lot of people like warned me, and I was like, I think you guys were being a little bit dramatic, but also it is like yeah, I mean, it is pretty messed up. And I watched it right before Wonka, which we're talking about today, which is like two
Really messed up.
could not be more different movies. So that was an experience. And then, of course, like I said, I went to see Poor Things last night. And I really like it. It's definitely pretty high on my list of favorites for the year, but I would like to kind of rewatch it hopefully soon before I can say something concrete about it, because it's kind of a lot. And there's still there's some discourse that exists about Poor Things on the internet already, and then that's before it even gets its wide release. So I know that some of the conversations that are going to happen when everybody sees it are going to be interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, we're not doing an episode about Poor Things because me and Owen haven't had the chance to see it, but we're gonna
Yeah.
probably talk about it in at least a little bit in depth in
Yeah.
January. At
That
some
it
point.
will get brought up.
I didn't
Maybe
think I
even
was gonna be able to see it in theaters, but I will be. But it's just like the release is kind of weird.
well, it gets its actual wide release next weekend along those other movies I was
Yeah.
naming.
This is a huge aside, but like, can studios specifically like guys like A24 and Neon, can they stop doing this thing?
The like one released and like a little bit bigger the next
Yeah,
week,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
like finally wide the week after
Like
that.
I feel like when the Fablemans did it and it backfired on them like hugely, like just it lost so much money because they did that. That should
Yeah.
have been the big flag where it's like, oh, this doesn't work for Spielberg. We just shouldn't do this anymore. But no,
You know
they're
what my
still
major
trying.
problem with releases like that is, aside from the fact that it's annoying for us as consumers, is that the way that they're then like distributed through ticket sales is so frustrating, because like I use Fandango to get my tickets, for example, but like if it's something like Poor Things, like okay, whatever. But if it's something like
It's Owen going like Fandango.
No, but like for Poor Things, for example, or like a lot of these movies that get those like spread out releases, it shows up as like the new movie of the week during its limited release, but I'm not seeing it that week. And then when it actually does come out for me, it ends up getting like put down in like the stack of all the movies that are already out. So you have to like scroll through movies constantly to be like, oh, did this like get released for me yet? And that's like the worst thing ever, because then every week I'm just checking. I'm like, oh, I don't know when this actually comes out. So I have to keep seeing like when tickets are available for it. And I don't think that a regular person who just like goes to the movies casually is like constantly checking tickets like that. You know what I mean? So I feel like from a ticket buying perspective, it's just really poorly organized when they do these like awful spread out releases. Anyway, yeah, and then I watched Carol last night with Owen, like Owen mentioned, and that's one of my favorites. I love Carol, but that's my week.
Kevin,
Yeah.
where's your Abyss poster?
Oh, I am refraining from putting it up, because I will be, for little Kevin insider information, I guess, for people who listen to the podcast, I'll probably not be in this room a couple months from now. So I'm gonna wait and do a whole new poster setup when I move into that next room. I'm gonna take like some of these new posters down and just keep like my favorites, and then throw in the Abyss, and like hopefully get a bunch more posters. So the poster background will be changing. I don't feel like hanging the Abyss one up right now, since I'm gonna just change it later. So but I have the poster. I have the poster. It's safe and sound. It's
Wait, Doug, your shit's got a watermark on it.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
I didn't see it, the watermark, when I downloaded it, and now it's too late. It's kind of funnier this way, don't you think?
I
Right.
didn't even notice it.
Yeah. Well, now everybody watching on YouTube will probably notice.
I mean, it would be hard not to, since Owen just pointed it out. But,
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna talk about Wonka. So, where do we start? I know Owen. This is where we should start, because this is something that we have to confront kind of immediately, which is that Owen. Yeah, I mean, Owen bumped this up to number one for the year, even above Knock at the Cabin, which is like something that I never thought would happen.
M. Night Found on a Dish in a ditch.
Is
Paul King
Owen's got some,
out?
you gotta like give us like a little bit of a rant here as to why you like Wonka so much. I mean,
broke my pen. I don't know. I think Paul King gets no respect. I don't think Paul King gets no respect.
He made Paddington 2.
No, that's the thing.
Like
is he made Paddington 2, and he gets no respect, which is the weird thing. It's not like anyone's saying his movies are bad, but it's
Okay.
like people are like, these movies are good. Fuck Paul
Yeah.
King. Like Paul King's not like, and it's I think a
He
lot of it
doesn't
has
get
to
talked
do.
about as a director because
I
they're
think a lot of it has to do that these movies are mainly like family movies and
Well,
like
they're kids' movies. You don't have to beat
yeah.
around the bush. Like,
No, that's I mean, but it's
yeah.
like
yeah, but he's a
that's
talented
why
director.
he's not getting. But like, I think he's really talented in terms of like he's creating really fantastic images and the way that he's working with these really big sets. Like he's a really great director. I think he's one of the best working directors today. But he's not like a name that you'll ever hear in any conversations. And this movie is just kind of everything I wanted from the next Paul King movie. Big Timothy Chalamet fan. That pairing is so much fun. I think he's so much fun here. It reminds me a lot. I know there's like they have some people who worked on those Harry Potter films producing this movie. Not that has anything to do with the actual product, but that British kind of family film vibe with all this magical shit going on definitely reminded me of those first two Christopher Columbus films. We seem to be talking about Christopher Columbus a lot recently.
My goat, Christopher Columbus.
But I grew up watching those first two a lot, and
he goes by Chris Columbus. Christopher Columbus is a different man.
but is it not funnier to say Chris? You know, like I know people hate those like annoying, annoying like one-liner letterbox reviews, but that one on like the first Harry Potter movie where they like joke about his name being Christopher Columbus is actually pretty funny.
I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, no, definitely reminded me of those, and definitely it was. I think I just really enjoyed it. I think it's quite
Yeah.
So
tell us about your experience then, Doug. Because
do you guys fuck with Paddington?
I mean,
yeah.
obviously.
Well, I'm interested to see how. I feel like the third one will be kind of like the forgotten one because it's no.
Well, it's not even called Paddington 3. That's the thing. They're switching from Paddington. It's Paddington colon in Peru. It's not like Paddington 3 in Peru.
A Paddington. Peru, a Paddington story.
Yeah, Peru, a Paddington story. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're switching up the naming convention.
It feels like when Disney would make those like sequels that like were like straight to DVD,
like Lion King, 1.5.
Yeah, it's like it just feels like without Paul King, without Sally Hawkins, who's in this movie for like a minute.
It's like literally like a minute. Like
it just feels like that Paddington 3.
You said it's everything you wanted, Owen, but wouldn't you have wanted more Sally Hawkins? I feel like that's your.
I mean, it's like in the kind of narrative I don't know if there is really space for her to have more time, but I think she's fantastic in it, and the fact that she's even here is great. But I think the band of cast members are all really great. I mean, you have Olivia Colman as this. It's an original character, but it's definitely like it fits in that universe of those doll books. She's like it's very like he did what's it called, the Danny DeVito movie? That's doll, right?
You're asking the wrong person. I'm no.
Danny DeVito directed a movie with a kid, and there's like this
hold on,
lady.
Matilda.
It's Matilda's the same. It's the same author, right?
You're talking about Matilda? I don't.
No, maybe not. But that's what it reminded me of. It's a very Matilda kind of like character there with Olivia Colman playing. It's similar like children's book kind of vibe. But I think I love that Olivia Colman character.
Sorry, Matilda is a doll.
Okay. Yes. So that's what that reminded me of. It felt like a very doll, like
we're all fucking stupid.
I just don't know what he's written.
All right, that's where my brain went.
I know it's a lot.
The Olivia Colman character was a very like Roald Dahl like kind of villain there, and I thought that was perfect in that kind of universe in the story, the narrative.
I loved how this movie like opened up with like the Roald Dahl thing, where it's like a Roald Dahl story or whatever at the very beginning.
Right.
Like that was really cool.
Well, I mean. There's a lot of discourse online about like the whole musical thing, but this movie opens up like, hey, this is a freaking musical with a capital M, I think.
Yeah, there's like guy on Twitter. We talk too much about Twitter on this fucking show, but there's like a guy on Twitter who was like, Wonka's not a musical. Like if like Wonka is only like a musical, like Barbie's a musical. Like there's just some songs in it, and it's like
No,
It's
no.
like they break out into song like on
Timothy
several
Chalamet is singing
occasions.
in like every fucking line.
Did you okay, so from that
song to song.
opening, did you guys gauge how your theater reacted? Because as soon as he started singing to like start the movie, a lot of people in my theater like start like there's like this group of girls sitting right behind me that just started like laughing uncontrollably, but I feel like everybody else was bought in.
I don't know. My theater wasn't that full.
mine was
Oh,
empty.
okay. Oh, dang.
Well, here
Okay.
you go. Like
Not a
you
lot of
went
people
like
seeing
really
Wonka.
late.
Yeah, I went like I went.
I think it's
like,
gonna be really
yeah.
big on like Christmas week and like over
Sure,
Christmas
yeah.
break. 'Cause
I
a
mean,
lot of
it's a
people are,
family
a lot of
movie.
kids are in school right now still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it like how is it doing? I like
It was
I
like
saw
40
the
million.
projection was 30 to 40 million for
Yeah.
for opening weekend, which is
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
fine.
obviously if the like if it
I think it's
keeps
gonna be
going
fine.
for a few weeks because of Christmas, that would
Yeah,
be pretty good.
But speaking of that, I love that opening because you got Chalamet's on this boat and he's up there like he's like a Pirates of the Caribbean thing, and you get the camera like swoops through this little hole in the ship, and you
Mhm.
go up, and I
Yeah.
just really like the way the camera moves there, and you just get this big, little musical opening of him on this boat. I just think that's really a great way to open it. Um,
Yeah.
I don't
I
know, the camera is a lot of fun. There's one, I don't know why. There's this one scene later in the movie where it's like a musical, like, montage thing, and it's where they, I don't know if it's before or after the zoo, but where they I think it's after the zoo, where they have those balloons,
Oh,
and
that part made me kind of tear up actually when they.
I think that scene
yeah.
is, like, beautiful. There's this one, like, shot that starts, like, out of focus and then, like, goes into focus, and it just really, like, kind of bothered my brain. But, like, that for some reason, that was, like, the only, like, technical thing that really bothered me. Is like, there's one shot that, like,
Yeah.
started out of focus. I was like, "That was a weird," because it's like a montage of, like, these, like, shots in this musical, and there's just a weird, like, cut to, like, an out of focus shot that was, like, that was an interesting, like, I was, like, thinking of, like, why they did that.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know, that's just, like, my brain being annoying, but I don't
Yeah.
I think this movie is, like, really sweet. I really love the, I forget the girl, the young actress's name, but she plays Noodle.
Noodle. Yeah.
I think
Lane.
yeah, I think the moments with, Chalamet and Lane, I think those are like, when she has the I think "For a Moment" is
Yeah.
Lane's
I
big
mean, their
song.
dynamic
I
is
think
like
that is so sweet. It's
yeah,
such an
their dynamic
emotional
throughout the
line.
movie is like really what made the movie
Oh,
for
yeah.
me a little bit, I think. There's a few other things, but because I really thought, like you said, like I thought the whole movie was very sweet. Like I really bought in, but I think the two things that like stand out are that dynamic and also and this is like so silly, but like I just love like when a kids movie is just about like kids having dreams and stuff. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Like
It's so
I
sweet.
like that
Yeah.
just makes me so emotional where he's just like he just has like this big dream and like all he cares about is like sharing it with people. I'm like, that's so sweet. Like we just like make all the kids movies about that.
Well,
I
and
don't
I
know.
think it's interesting how because kind of the marketing about from this movie felt like the way I was interpreting it was like, oh, it's his origin story. It's how like Willie became Wonka, you
Right,
know.
right.
But the
Yeah.
movie opens up and he is already like a like the best guy ever to ever make chocolate. Nobody is
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
like
It's
we
just
never
nobody
see.
knows it yet, but this
Yeah,
guy's
yeah.
just like immediately like the
Yeah, it's like he
greatest.
makes the best chocolate and nobody even comes
And he could
close. Like
fucking do
Frank
magic
Lloyd.
and make people float and shit.
Yeah.
like
I think it's such an interesting, kind of way to tackle that sort of, because I feel like, this is we're in this weird era where this is a movie that's being made. You have like Joker and Cruella, and this is like another kind of thing of that. But to kind
Right.
of, instead of tackling this as like, let's see, Willy Wonka like learn how to make chocolate and go on these adventures to find
Right, which
different
would be kind
recipes
of a
and stuff.
really, like, Paddington thing to do, though. Like, that
Yeah,
would
but
remind
it
me of, like, the
is.
Paddington 2,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
prison stuff, kind of.
Mhm. But the way to tackle it in terms of like, he is talented, but that's like there's more to that than making it than just being,
Right.
talented. And these kind of, I think I really like, I mean, this is kind of a sidetrack, but I really like how like it's this kind of like, I don't know what the word would be, but you have like these like, I don't know what those guys are called, the three like heads of the chocolate, and there's very
Right.
like there's this like corrupt like police thing going on, and you have the guys in the church, and when there's like the chocolate like monks, uh,
Yeah.
and it's just like a very I think the way that it's organized is a very like it's like an adult kind of thing, like
Of
hidden
course,
in,
yeah. I
like
mean, like,
this.
there's some obvious,
No,
like,
I just I like
comparisons
how
to be
it's
drawn to
like
yeah.
you the cops are getting bribed with chocolate, and there's I
Yeah.
don't know, I like how the narrative is very serious, but
I
it's like sugar coated, you know?
I love the one this is like a little aside, but like I love the one chocolate billionaire who is just like he only talks when like when he has to explain the jokes and
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
just
yeah.
like every time they like hint at doing something, he's like, and we're gonna murder him.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah, and
I thought there was like a dad in my theater that loved that bit every single time, and he just like it was very contagious. I thought that
well,
part was so
I like
silly.
we talked I think me and you talked about this, Kevin, but I like how like I said, it was like everything's all sugar coated, and then like at towards the end, the main like evil guy just like pulls out a gun. he's like he's
It's
like
so
he's
silly.
like he's like gonna shoot Willy Wonka. And I don't know, it's so absurd that I think it works.
Yeah,
Or
because
like when the boat blows up, it's like, oh, it's they like
right.
pay him off, and
Yes.
then it's like, oh no, we're gonna
Yeah.
kill you
Because
with
it's like
fire.
there's some like I think
Yeah.
obviously like with this story, like they could kind of like mix in like some of the dark things a little bit
Mhm.
more, but like I don't think
Yeah.
this ever really like goes in that direction, even when it's
No.
like doing those things. Like it never really like feels even close to that, even if there's like a gun or like
Mhm.
the attempts to like kill him or anything. It's like I
Well,
mean, you
they
know, because
attempt to they try to blow him up, they threaten to shoot him, and then they
yeah.
try to drown
Spoilers,
him
by
with
the
chocolate.
way. Not
Oh,
that
I
anybody
mean,
cares,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
mean,
There
yeah.
are we're gonna spoil Wonka.
Right. Right.
Um, but yeah, no, I think Paul King has always been a funny director. His first feature, is Bunny and the Bull, is really funny. It's really stylized. It's the one that no one's really seen. The guy, I don't know his name, but he's the zoo security guy. Is like
Mhm.
he's the lead in that movie, and he's been in all the other Paul King movies. He's kind of his like
His go-to
I don't know.
guy.
Yeah, I mean it's a
I mean, he has a
long
very
time
funny
collaborator.
that
Funny
that the way that
British
bit
guy.
gets like brought full circle when he makes like that like drunk phone call to that girl that
Yeah,
was in
yeah.
like his chemistry class, but then at like the end she makes like the drunk call back to him. I thought that was really
I
funny.
really like
Like
the shot when he's that he gets that candy, and he's like it's I forget what Chalamet describes it as, like a night on the town is what he says. And they got
right.
this like really nice silhouette of him like going through these stages of
Yeah.
the night on the town. I think that's really a beautiful shot. I really like there's another shot that I don't know, it stuck with me, but it's when Noodle's in that cage and they're trying to rescue her, and you have Noodle in the cage, and it's really blocked and like framed well, and there's like these the openings. So you have like
Oh,
the
like
one of
one
the
person's in
one
each
guy on the
window.
left, and you have Chalamet in the middle, and then you have the other
Yeah.
person on the other like window, and then you have Noodle like kind of in between Chalamet and the guy on the left. I just really loved the framing there. I think King's framing in here is really wonderful. I really enjoy the when they're looking in Willy Wonka's little box, and he's got this little like all these things popping out, and they have these you have the thing in the middle where you kind of get the flashbacks of Sally Hawkins, and it opens up, and I really love the little like I mean, I'm sure I'm like 98% sure it's just digital, but the way they make it look like these little film things, I think that's
Right.
so sweet. And it's like
Yeah.
something where it's like you don't have to, in a kids movie, you don't have to do that. Like that's not something you're not winning any points with these kids. But I think King is, actually trying to make a work of art here, and
Yeah.
it's really evident in all these little things that there's just so much effort being put into it. Where it's like this is like a real fucking movie made for
Yeah.
kids.
It is.
Like, and I don't think like it's such a weird like this movie when the trailer came out and everyone's like this is looking like shit, and like this movie's gonna suck. It's like Paul King is a real filmmaker putting his 100 into this stuff, and it shows for me. And
Yeah.
I think it works all for me.
Is
I think his tones and the what he's approaching is really clicks for me.
Yeah. Is he like? I mean, you would probably know this better than us, Owen. Is he like on record at all saying that these are the kinds of movies he wants to work with into the future? Like, has he said that he wants to work in kids movies,
He's
or
only
like?
made kids movies
Yeah,
for the last
I
15
mean-
years.
Sure, but like that doesn't mean. I mean, he's only made a couple movies.
Well, that's the
Like,
thing. As I was thinking about this last night, and I was like, I really am interested to see what he continues to do. Because Bunny and the Bull is not a kids movie. It's a comedy, but he's got these two Paddington movies, and then it makes sense why he was able to get Wonka, because of those
Yeah.
Paddington movies. The next thing
Yeah.
he
I mean,
has,
Paddington 2 is like
next-
not an exaggeration, one of the most critically acclaimed movies of all
oh
time.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. The next thing on his docket is the Fred Astaire biopic with Tom Holland.
I don't think that movie's real.
oh,
But
Yeah.
will that ever get made?
Yeah.
Who knows? But that doesn't sound like a kids movie to me. So I'm sure he will make plenty of kids movies in his time. But it's interesting because he on the kind of interview tour for Wonka, he talks about Fred Astaire a lot and
Okay.
how the inspiration for a lot of Chalamet's performance is some of Fred
Right, I
Astaire,
did see that.
and he talks about like these Capra movies and all this stuff that he's inspired by. So I think, who knows if that Tom Holland Fred Astaire thing happens, but I think there will be definitely more kids movies for him in the future, but I don't think he'll only be making kids movies. I think.
Timothy Chalamet, Fred Astaire movie.
Yeah, imagine he just kicks Tom Holland out of it.
Yeah.
Tom Holland looks more like him. but-
Yeah, for sure. I bet I'm really interested to see what
And
he
we
gets
could
to.
get Tom Holland in like a real proper good movie.
Yeah.
if
That
Paul
Fred
can-
Yeah,
Astaire
well-
thing, there's like a little soft, kind of like blonde controversy around it, but in the sense, because like Fred Astaire, isn't he like on record saying he doesn't want there to be a movie about him before he died? Like, isn't that what he said before he died?
I don't
Oh,
know.
did he?
I
That's
think he
funny,
said
though.
something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm misquoting or misremembering, but
Well, as much as I'd love to have Tom Holland in a good movie, I'd totally be more open to Paul King doing like something else. Than I'm like not sold on that Fred Astaire movie happening.
Yeah.
I think there's endless possibilities for what he could do. I think he's so creative in the way that
Yeah,
he's
like Wonka too.
Nah, well, actually, it's the way that the movie ends. I was
kidding,
like,
I'm kidding.
what? Like, it's so kind of setting up like there's more, but obviously, it's like there's
Yeah,
more movies.
but I don't
it's
think
like,
he would do it.
Wonka 2 is such a like, don't do that. Please
Yeah.
don't do that.
Well,
It'd be
I mean,
so
that's
weird.
something I brought up to you, kind of, Owen. That like when we were talking about this this movie, is that like one of the good things about how like what part of his life this movie focuses on is that they can talk about those ideas of like the kind of like don't give up on your dreams, like you know, like share them with like your community and like take care of like these people around you, because
Yeah.
like then the movie ends with him just like creating this like massive factory where he's gonna mass produce
Yeah.
chocolate, and you're like, I mean, you know what like road this
And
is
he's
going
only got
down, you know,
he's
like,
only got
not
one
gonna-
Oompa Loompa now, but he's gonna get
Yeah,
get greedy
exactly.
and go
So
back for more.
that's what I'm saying. So I'm like, this like kind of perfectly exists in this place in his
Yeah,
life,
yeah,
because like the
We
end
can't-
of the
we
movie
can't go
is just
more, we
setting
can't
him
go
up
further.
to end
Yeah,
up
it's just-
where the bad guys in this movie are.
Wonka,
Um,
wait, like Wonka actually has like a Dune thing, so like we're like Wonka 2,
Right,
we're like,
right.
we're like,
Yeah,
oh, is
he's
this the
getting-
bad guy actually?
He's the
Like,
villain.
Yeah.
Some people
Yeah.
who don't know what happens in the rest of Dune are about to really be shocked by what you just told them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well,
I mean,
like,
yeah,
it's
I don't
7-year-old
think I don't think they should, but it would be really funny if Paul King came back with like this really cynical, like this is what happens
Just
to
like the-
Wonka. He's just like evil now.
Just like
Yeah, like,
10 years, yeah, like
obsessed and,
10
like,
years
walking
down the
around.
road, where
Yeah,
like
like-
these kids who
Yeah,
watched
yeah.
it grew up and they're like, oh shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I brought that up to Owen. I was like,
I
it's
think it's
very
good.
funny
It's
how
very
they
funny.
like toe that line a little bit, because like anybody, because like the, you know, like the kids aren't really gonna like pay
Yeah,
attention
yeah,
to something like that, but like anybody else watching is gonna be like, oh, this is, you know, it's a good thing the movie ends here on a high note. Which is also like one of the like when we're talking about that relationship with him and Noodle, that like her ending in the story, without saying
Beautiful, it's
anymore,
so
is
good.
like
Yeah.
I started crying a lot. I mean, I was
man,
kind of, yeah.
It's
There's a
so-
lot of
it's so
things that
sweet.
made me emotional, but
Well,
that
that's the
part-
thing is I think so many kids movies, like the emotional moments are not going to hit for someone in our age demographic, but I think King
Sure.
has such a great hold on these emotional moments and his ways to set those up. And it's like Paddington 2 is like such an emotional moment. Those Paddington movies are
Yeah,
if
he
they
goes to jail. It's Paddington
it's
goes to
like
jail and then
that's the thing.
performs all of
It's yeah, that shit is insane. Like
Yeah.
Paul King
Like,
is so
I mean, he's really
crazy.
good at getting you to care about
Oh yeah.
everybody who's affected by the main character. Like the same thing with like the family around Paddington. Like that's kind of like the same dynamic here, where like you care about everybody that Wonka cares about a lot.
Yeah. No, even
And
like in very
yeah,
limited screen time too.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I think that makes all of those moments feel so earned. Like it's very easy
Yeah.
to like let go and like be affected by them, because like you definitely to the point where like when we're talking about, what's her Sally Hawkins like playing his mom,
Yeah.
like we said, like I mean she's in the movie for literally a minute, but both like the flashback scene and then later the big like emotional climax is just like they both work so well, despite the fact that like we don't really know
Yeah.
anything
I mean,
about her at
you
all,
have
or
these little
like
lines of with Chalamet. He says like "Here we go, mom" or something on the lines of that, where you get
yeah.
these little bits, but it's like I don't know, it's just very well crafted in terms of where you're really making those minutes count in
Yeah, I
terms
just
of
really
screen
like
time.
believe how much like he cares about her in a way that
Mhm.
like I don't think a lot of people could do for a character that shows up for a minute in
Yeah.
a movie, but like I think his entire like motivation and the fact that his worldview is shaped by her makes it all
Mhm.
more affecting, because like the fact that I mean there's like a lot of this like a lot of stuff in the movie kind of like suggesting how much faith he has in like people just like being good. You know what I mean? Like when he's
Mhm.
like sleeping, like the whole reason why he gets brought into this like awful
Yeah,
hotel
yeah.
contract that he
Well,
signs is
that
because like
you talked
he
about
sees this
putting
scary
Paddington in
looking
jail. That is
dude.
a
Yeah.
crazy way to start the movie where
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna be homeless." And then he gets brought in and then he gets like tricked into signing this like
yeah,
deal
he
that
gets
he
tricked into
owes.
being a slave. Like
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah,
like literally.
literally. Which yeah, that's what
Like
I'm saying. Like they're
just
I mean, it gives you these very dark ideas that just like
God.
um they never feel like it, but it's like yeah, stuff like that, like the fact that he just like I don't know, there's like a lot of like little things like that where like he just really like values all of these people around him, and like that that's because of his mom, even though she's literally not in the movie at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah.
And you kind of, and then the one flashback scene that you do get of the two of them together, like it all just kind of like makes sense. Like everything else that you've watched in the movie makes sense when you see like the two of them have a 30-second conversation. I don't know, I think stuff like that is like really impressive. Like that's the stuff that I probably pay the most attention to, because I don't. It's the same thing with like the Paddington stuff, where it's like I don't know that. I mean, obviously, like a lot of people would care about Paddington regardless, because he's like a cute little bear. Like people are gonna see that and they're gonna be like, oh, that's like a cute thing that I want to care about. But I don't know that like everybody in the world could get you to care about him the way that Paul King does, and it's like
Yeah.
Care about a
kind of the
quirked
same
up
thing
white
here.
boy.
Right? Sure. Well, he's sure. He's not exactly a boy, or
He acts like
or
one.
white, but yeah, sure. But he's
Um,
definitely a bear. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I
Bentley
think
Shaw.
yeah, I just think Paul King really gets that stuff. Like I think that's like
Mhm.
like I mentioned, like if he's gonna make movies that in the future that aren't for kids, but like I think like that's the kind of stuff that maybe we take for granted when it comes to like kids
Well,
movies, is like being able to do that so
yeah.
effectively.
Well, I guess we talked about the little one. I think just having seen Bunny and the Bull, I think no matter what, if it's a movie strictly just for kids or not, I think he'll always kind of have that sense of comedy and that sense of play and that emotional little core is there always. I
Yeah.
think he's always kind of wanting to make you tear up and care for the characters, which
yeah.
is really
Yeah.
evident in all of his movies. Is they're funny, they're lighthearted, they're tackling some real topics though, but he's always going to want you to care about these characters first and foremost.
Yeah.
And I think he's really effective at that. I think he's done a great job in all those movies.
Absolutely. Yeah. Are there specific scenes you guys want to talk about? I really loved the giraffe
zoos.
scene.
Yeah, the
I
giraffe.
love
Well,
honestly
we have,
both of the
speaking of
giraffe
people
scenes.
who only show up for like a minute, you have Rowan Atkinson in there as that like
Right.
priest
Yeah.
who's making those like deals with the chocolate cartel. And then you
Yeah.
have the big giraffe come in, and they're
And
supposed to
Jason.
they have a funeral that they're having to do in a few whatever. And then the giraffe comes in as they try to break in. I think it's just a fun. I love the imagery of I love like church imagery and stuff like that, and I love
Yeah.
the chocolate whatever they're called. I forget the name of them, but the guys in the cloaks, and they're all like wanting chocolate and stuff. I think
Right.
it's just so funny to put that in this movie and to kind of conjure that like image. I think those that whole kind
I
of
mean,
thing.
that's the kind of stuff that layers it as like
Oh
both
yeah,
a movie for adults and children, where
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
adults are gonna see that and like that's funny. Like that's
Yeah.
like,
Well, they
you
have
know,
like this like secret chocolate cartel layer,
yeah, that's what I
and
mean. Like that's
you
such a funny thing
they
for
bring
us
the
to
cop down and
experience.
they bribe him with chocolate. And I
Yeah.
We
don't know.
haven't. Yeah, I was speaking of the cop. We haven't talked about Keegan Michael Key, but
Oh,
fat
he's
Keegan Michael Key
hilarious.
is so
Yeah.
good in this movie. It's
He's
very
so
funny.
funny. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
It plays so much to his strengths. I think
He's
he just like
I mean, I know he's done like those, he's got those famous comedy sketches, but he's normally doing animated roles in terms of these bigger movies.
Yeah, for like voice acting. Well, he's
Yeah,
done
yeah.
like a couple of like comedy films that I don't think were like really big.
No,
Yeah,
but
like
this is
big
like
Netflix stuff,
this
right?
is a really big movie,
Yeah,
and
but
he's fantastic.
I mean,
You
yeah.
he's just like I think he's funny and everything. Kind of like
Oh
he's
yeah,
like one
for
of those
sure.
people that I just like want to see and stuff. Like
He's
I'm
yeah,
like
no,
put
he's been
him in
funny forever.
comedy.
For
Yeah.
this is a big
It's
role
probably
for
his
him.
biggest movie other than I mean, he was like what the sixth, like he was one of the hyenas in the Lion King remake, right? Or
Well, I
something.
mean, he's
And he was
definitely
in
got
Mario.
yeah,
His
he's
Oh,
a
I
big
forgot he was
role
in
in
Mario. He was goated in
Mario.
Mario. I
He
forgot
he
about
was
Yeah,
that.
pretty big in Toy Story 4 as well. Like he
sure. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's all there's so many animated roles that this is like a really big live action role that he kind of does command the screen there. I think there's
yeah.
I love the bit where he's he's like putting Chalamet in the water, and they like bonks him on that. He's like, "Oh, don't you
I
have a
love
bonk
that
in the
bit 'cause
head?"
he like dunks his head in the water. He's like, "Stop making chocolate." Then he picks it up and he's like, Do you understand?" And Chalamet's like, "No." Or
Yeah,
Walker's like, "No." And then
yeah.
he's like,
Oh,
"Oh,
water
you
in
got a
my ear.
smart guy." Then he dumps his head back in the water and says the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. No, I mean the comedy lands, man. I think
Yeah.
it's really impressive to have a kids movie that this sophisticated in terms of everything, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's why I said like uh here's it's like it's not my favorite movie, but I think it's just because
Sure.
I like Paul King's not like my favorite guy, but I have a lot of respect for him. It's just like these aren't movies for like I'm not the audience for these movies, you know?
Right.
But like it's like I don't think anybody's making specifically live action because animated is a
Totally
different
different
horse,
bag
but
of
like
worms.
specifically like live action entertainment like for kids. I don't think there's anybody in Paul King's league. Like I don't think there's a
It's
single
not
person
even
doing it like this.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like but yeah, no, I totally get it. I think it's a very specific tone and kind of movie. It's like so hyper specific that like it's not gonna be everyone's favorite thing, but I think you gotta admire the craft here. Like it's just like it's
Yeah, no.
really well put
It's a
together.
yeah, it's a tremendously well put together movie. And that's kind of goes into what you said where you were like, guys, this Paul King, he made Paddington 2. Like,
That's
why
like
are people like
it's
shitting on the
so
trailer?
weird
Like,
because like
Yeah.
Paddington 2 kind of got that thing where it's like, hey, this is like a kids movie, but this movie's real as fuck. And then it's like, oh, he's gonna make another movie, and everyone's like, this is lame. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't even know. The reception was weird. I think a lot of it might be due to Chalamet.
That's what I was
Um,
gonna say. I don't think anybody was worried about the fact that Paul King was directing.
but
Also, like
I
I
don't
don't know
think there
that
was enough
most
faith.
people
It's quite
know
crazy. It's
Paul
like
King.
that's the thing. It's like I don't think it's yeah. But I think it's weird because like there's like the whole thing where it's like there's like people who like movies who like Paddington 2. I mean, I'm sure people weren't some people weren't worried, but it's just weird to kind of doubt him.
Yeah.
yeah, but also it's like, but also this is a not everybody's kind of like as much of an auteurist as like someone like me or Owen is, where
Yeah,
it's like we see
yeah,
the director and we're like,
yeah.
oh, we're all set. We don't need to hear anything else about the movie.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
Well,
thought
I think
about
some
making a video where it's like how to find a good movie, and it's just like you like look at the director and he's like, oh, this guy's good.
Yeah, not everybody's like that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I think what I was gonna say is I think some people even don't like consider that at all. Like I don't know that like when you market a lot of those things, and that's like probably why somebody like Paul King's name doesn't really like
Yeah.
you know like how a lot of those movies do promotion and they'll even do like the in the trailer they'll do like producers like of other movies kind of thing
Yeah.
where it's like
Well, it
you just
does
want to like
the
like for most people you just have to associate it with other things. So it's like with this one they'll just be like, oh, the guy who made Paddington 2, the same way that like other movies will get trailers and it'll be like
yeah.
from the studio that brought you like blah blah and
Yeah.
blah, and
I
then
think
people
it's
see those and they're like, oh, I like those movies, maybe like that kind of
the
thing.
the
I don't think people are
trailers
really putting that thought into
the
it.
trailer says something along the lines of like from the director of Paddington 2 and the producers of like the Fantastic Beasts movies or
Sure,
something like
yeah. Yeah. That's what I mean because
that.
like those two things don't really make a difference for like the average person
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
that trailer. They just want to see they just want to recognize other movies that they've seen and be like, "Oh, I liked that, so I'll watch this." Like they're not
Man, if
thinking
you
of it
were
in
But
terms
I mean,
of it being a
when's the last
director.
time Chalamet's put a bad performance up? Like we
Uh,
got doubt him too. Like
a
it
bad
just
performance or a bad movie?
yeah,
performance. Because
um
people were like, this performance is bad. Like on the trailer,
no, this
they
performance
were
isn't bad. It
he's
works
so
for the
fun.
film. It like maybe in a vacuum, you could say like, "Oh, this is cringe and I don't like it," but it works in the film. Like he's
Yeah,
playing like
I mean, it's totally fits
yeah.
tonally.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
even his last like bad movie, in my opinion, was Don't Look Up, and I
He's
remember
so
watching Don't
funny
Look
and
Up.
Don't Look
He's the
Up.
best.
He's
Yeah, I mean,
so
he's the best
funny.
part of the movie. Like him and
Movies,
Jennifer
yeah.
Lawrence are the only people who like actually had like a sense of humor in that
Yeah, no,
movie.
that movie's
Um,
horrible. He's like makes it
yeah,
watchable for
Maybe
5
like The
minutes.
King. I'm
but I
looking at
don't
the
think
movies.
he's
Yeah.
bad in The King,
Well,
though.
I think that he
I
doesn't
mean,
bring anything interesting
sure, I
either.
don't
You
think
know,
he's
like
really doing a whole
yeah.
lot,
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
but
It's like he's the guy right now. Like, I mean, it just feels so weird to kind of I don't know. This movie seems like a home run. You know, I mean, now that I've seen
and
it,
you know,
obviously,
well,
but
I think the greater conversation to be having as like when you compare people's reaction to the trailer compared to now that the movie's out
yeah,
is that I don't think it was so much that people were doubting his ability as it was like they saw him in the trailer and they were like, he's not the right guy to be playing
they
this
were
kind of
saying
character.
Jeremy Allen White, man.
Yeah. And then when you actually
Imagine
see
Jeremy
the
Allen White in
movie,
this movie,
which
bro.
is like
It
that's
could
a
work.
different.
No, I mean Jeremy
I
Allen White could
mean,
work. It
no,
would
I mean
be
he's very
different.
talented. He's
Yeah.
very talented. He's
No, I
great. But
mean, I
I
just
think
don't
that's an
think in
annoying
this
conversation.
tone.
I think that's like one of my least favorite things on like the internet when it comes to like anything about an existing property is just like, why don't
Yeah.
we just cast the guy who looks like the old guy? Like I hate that that's like
No, yeah, yeah.
that's like where people's minds go.
Jeremy
It's like
Allen
who's
White
the
is the
modern
only
actor
reason
that looks
he
like
looks
the
like
old
Gene
person who used
Wilder.
to
Yeah,
play it? Yeah, I'm like I hate that. Like that's such an annoying casting thing that people do. I'm like, can't you guys like be creative? Like it's like, is this the only like train of thought that you have? Is like this guy looked like the old guy, so we got to make him the new guy? Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's a frustrating thing. But
Weird.
like but with Timothy, I think it's like what I was saying, where it's like people saw the trailer and they were like, oh, he doesn't fit like this like the way that he's delivering these lines and blah blah blah. And then like you see the full movie and you're like, this guy, I mean, I thought he was great in
This is
it. Like I
another
think
thing with IP brain rot, where people are like, "Oh, it's a new IP movie. It has to be exactly like this other thing that already exists in this
Yeah,
fucking
yeah.
IP," and they like get like people hyper focus on shit like that when it's like, no, this is a Paul King movie,
right.
right?
And you
This
can't
is
even because I mean, even the last like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was like, I mean, that's a Tim Burton movie, and
yeah.
like that's like way like such a darker approach compared to like what you get from like a
Yeah.
Paul King. So
You
it's
have this
like,
like
why
creepy
are you
Christopher Lee
even
dentist story.
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, you don't need Paul King to make that movie. You need Paul King to make a Paul King movie.
Yeah,
So
so
it's
like
weird
when
that
when you say like oh Timothy Chalamet doesn't fit like this like Willy Wonka character, and it's like well he does in
it's
Paul
like,
King's Willy
yeah,
Wonka.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
It's like you don't know what the
yeah, yeah.
character is yet because you haven't seen the movie.
Yeah,
Well,
So, and then
that's
you do see the movie and like the heart that he has for that,
yeah.
like in the role is, I thought was great. I mean, that whole dynamic that we were talking about wouldn't have worked if he wasn't so like great in it, like that kind of
Mhm.
thing. Like that, I don't know. Like I think he's, yeah, I obviously like, you know, whoever else could have probably done a good job, but I don't, yeah, the fact that people were doubting it when then he, you know, you see the
Well,
performance and you're like, I
yeah.
mean, this is just great.
I
Yeah, like
think
he's just good in it.
that the best thing that like watching the movie, the only thing you could possibly be worried about is you got Paddington 2 guy, Paul King, who is fantastic in his own little movies. He does this is as you mentioned, like it's a franchise IP sort of thing, and having like a watered down version of Paul King making this Willy Wonka movie that just feels like another Willy
Yeah.
Wonka movie. And I think this movie succeeds in terms of this is a Paul King movie, like
Yeah.
100%. And that's the only thing I you would really be worried about for me was like this is gonna feel like Paul King in a studio system making this
No.
like by the numbers thing, but this is 100% a Paul King
The
movie.
line, like, it's a straight line from Paddington 2 to Wonka. Like, that's
Oh, yeah.
it's so obviously the same guy that made those movies.
Yeah. And so
Well,
I
and it's
think
also he brought, like, he brought, like,
all
a
of his
bunch of the
guys.
cast, all of his guys
All
over.
of
I'm
his
assuming
guys.
he's working with, like, a very similar crew too. I haven't
sure.
looked, but I'm assuming that, like,
Mhm.
seems
Yeah.
like his
Right.
thing, like
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't. Good point. Is there anything else that we want to touch on? We do have a big news
I
day
have
today,
I have a big one last thing I want to touch on.
sure.
Talk about Cass. We didn't really mention him at all. Hugh Grant's in the
Oh,
movie for
of
like 3
course.
minutes. What did we
Yeah.
think about Hugh Grant?
Yeah.
He
Um,
rocks. Hugh
yeah,
Grant rocks. Hugh
it's
Grant's
funny.
introduction, he doesn't come in for, like, an hour into the movie, and he rocks.
I think it's funnier seeing his comments about how much he hated making it before I went to go see the movie because like that just made me giggle when I was seeing him play this on screen.
They're you know what he kind of reminded me of? You guys are gonna hate me.
Oh,
But
gosh.
he reminded me kind of like of a Stewie from Family Guy.
Oh, I don't think that's not like
That's
a
so
bad.
funny.
No,
Well, you
yeah.
get what I mean? Like
No,
I don't
yeah.
know, something about
That's
that
silly.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hate you for
uh,
that. No, that's
No, I mentioned this to Kevin. I really like. I think I mentioned this to Kevin, but I really like the way they kind of use the Oompa Loompa character in the movie. I like how they're like there's like this little nemesis kind of like rivalry going on between them. I like how nobody believes that these Oompa Loompas exist. Like he's talking and explaining.
that part was funny.
He's explaining the existence of
Especially
this little green man with or this little
orange man, green hair.
orange man,
Does
green
he
hair.
correct somebody?
Yeah. He's a little orange man with green hair, and he's like 8 inches tall or whatever, and no one believes that he exists. And there's like the back and forth. I think there was a way that you could just shoe in the Oompa Loompa, and it would have been like kind of lame. I think the way that
Yeah.
the characterization and the narrative.
But it was so funny
He's
that
only
like
in the movie for a little bit, but I think he's really well. I guess the character is really well
yeah,
handled.
I thought it was so funny that he like there's that joke where he like tells Timothy Chalamet that he's like big for an Oompa Loompa, and then at the end he's like, I'm actually an inch shorter than the other Oompa Loompas.
Yeah. And I mean,
That part
you
was
got
so stupid.
he's in the movie for like 3 minutes of screen time. The fact that it is Hugh Grant and you have just Hugh Grant's voice it's just hilarious. I think it's really well done. I think it's really interesting because I don't.
Yeah,
I
think
didn't
I mean
kind
that's
of-
not really
Kind of a heater year for Hugh Grant.
Hell yeah.
Being
Right.
like this and Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's really funny. He was talking in those interviews, and he's joking, but he's like, I can only really get weird roles now. As I'm in my weird era, where it's like that's the only thing they'll offer me is these weird ass roles. And
Yeah, his weird era is just playing a side character in a family movie.
yeah. But he's also in one of the Paddington 2.
Yeah, he was in Paddington
Yeah,
too.
he's the
Joey Paul King guy,
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great casting. I think it's really funny. But just the narrative decisions that they make with the kind of backstory between them and the rivalry, and the kind of the little arc that he goes on, and the relationship that he has with Wonka.
Yeah.
I think it's really cute and really funny. I think I love he captures him in the little the bottle, and then he lets him free. You got the frying pan. He escapes with the chocolate. I just think
also didn't speaking of the cast, I didn't recognize that one guy who's like there with Olivia Colman, but I thought he was very funny. Like
yeah, I
don't know who
definitely
that is.
I looked at the cast earlier. I definitely seen him around before. He's really funny as well.
Yeah.
They have some good bits back and forth. There's the one guy, my favorite guy. Let me pull him up because I think he is like.
Oh yeah, Tom Davis. He's also a Paddington 2 guy. Kevin.
Yeah. Tom Davis plays Beecher. He's really great. But I really love
Okay. Yeah.
Jim Carter. I really love Jim Carter. I remember my mom and my parents would always have Downton Abbey on the TV when that was on. and he's in that show, and he's just like all-time British guy. Like he's just got such a great
Wait, which
voice.
guy?
Jim Carter, he's the
Oh,
he's the older
yeah,
guy.
I
He's like
like
the
him.
he's like
Yeah,
the
I know
main guy
exactly who
who's
you're talking
running
about. He's like the
place down
accountant
there.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's like the perfect British guy, like the British old man. I think he's perfect. He's got such a great voice. He's not in like too much. He's in some he's in a lot actually. He's in a lot, but it's like a bunch of random stuff, really. But he's so good in this movie. I really think he's great.
Yeah,
but
just a
the
great
whole cast is really great.
It's a good combination of
Kind of
great
can
cast and
accept
great characters.
kind of can
Really-
expect that with a Paul King movie now. It seems
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
really interesting, like it's an ensemble cast of like really great character actors, and then you have that kind of superstar at the front that all like
Yeah.
lets it go.
superstar.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
you
gonna
could call
say,
him a
dude. It's
superstar. He's
Yeah,
one
no,
of
I
the,
love-
he's,
I
I
love-
mean, he's one of the biggest
he's the
actors in
guy,
the
yeah.
world. Yeah, it's kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know what other title you would give him. Anyway, if that's Doug, do you have anything else you want to include?
No, I mean the movie's good. I had fun.
Okay.
I liked it.
Yeah, we all liked it. Okay, we're gonna we got a big little news day. Obviously, want to remind everybody to share some feedback.
little news day.
Yeah, well, just like more than usual, I guess. But
But why is it a little?
that's just how I talk. Can you just let me?
Is
Can you
it
just give me
bigger?
10
Is it
seconds?
bigger?
Can you just give me
Little,
10
Kevin?
seconds? Can I just tell people to like the episode?
More like Big Little
just do that?
Liars. Paul
Okay.
Giamatti is a blue man.
Okay.
Big fat liars.
Oh, Big Fat Liar. No, Big Little Liars is the TV show.
I'm just gonna talk over
No,
them
it's
while they
Pretty
have this
Little
conversation.
Liars.
Like the episode, comment, subscribe on YouTube, rate the episode on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Also, like leave comments on Apple Podcasts and Spotify because we read
And
those.
YouTube.
Yeah, well, I said that part already, but and follow us on Twitter and join the Discord. But the reason
Follow us on
why
Twitter, join the Discord, talk in the Discord. We will respond. We'll talk to you.
Yeah. The reason why it is a big news day, the reason why I set it up like that is because we're going to start by going through our Golden Globe nominees. Only the movie categories. We'll skip out on TV stuff, of course, but there's a lot to cover. We could kind of talk about maybe Oscar implications and whatnot, whatever we want to cover. But let's start with the biggest category, I guess, the best motion picture category, which is for the Globes separated into drama and then musical or comedy. So the best picture drama inclusions are Oppenheimer, Codes of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Past Lives, The Zone of Interest, and Anatomy of a Fall. I think Zone of Interest being included is really cool. I wasn't
the zone
completely expecting that for the
Hopefully
drama category.
I mean, I don't. We'll talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're talking about it right now. You don't have to.
Well, I mean,
you can say what you-
because you're saying like Oscar implications. Hopefully, like I would love it. I haven't seen the movie yet. I know I'm gonna like it. I really like Jonathan
Yeah,
Glazer.
my friend actually just saw it last night, and she really liked it. So that got me even more excited because that's another positive review.
But like, so hopefully it would be cool if this has some like Oscar implications where it's like, oh, maybe this is gonna get nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So let me read out the other Best Picture
Cool,
nominees
cool,
for the comedy category, and then we could kind of talk about the Best Picture race in the Oscars in
Yeah.
general. But the comedy picks are Barbie, Poor Things, American Fiction, The Holdovers, May December, and Air. So out of those 12, we can pretty much guarantee Air is the one that is going to get left out of a Best Picture. I mean, listen, you never know, but I would hope that it's a safe bet to say that Air is not one of the Best Picture nominees. So out of those other 11, and then maybe some other movies that weren't included in the Globes that could be on the fence, like I think it's safe to say that Zone of Interest is right there on that bubble spot, because I think there's like probably 6-7 movies that we could be sure are going to get in, and then like a couple movies from the 8 to let's say like 13 range that are like competing for those final 3 spots. I don't think it's going to be Zone of Interest, but it's definitely possible. The problem, I think for me, is that it seems likely that they only nominate one international film for Best Picture, and it seems that Anatomy of a Fall has more support behind it than Zone of Interest.
I mean, it won the Palme
feel
d'Or, and
Yeah.
Neon is really pushing that movie. Like Neon is
Right.
really pushing that movie like crazy.
Right. So I think, and not to mention, Zone of Interest is an A24 film, and I think they might really campaign to get Past Lives in there, which got more, as we talk about these nominations, more Golden Globe nominations than I thought it would, and maybe we'll get more Oscar nominations than we're expecting. I think Past Lives maybe has a little more traction behind it than I had anticipated, which
Yeah, I mean, people like Past Lives a lot. Not just like normal people, but like people that like
people in
vote on
Hollywood,
awards like
right?
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because just to and you guys could correct me if I'm wrong here, but as we like look down at this list, Oppenheimer obviously a Best Picture nominee, Killers of the Flower Moon obviously a Best Picture nominee. I think Maestro, you can probably at this point
I would lock in Maestro.
guarantee
Yeah.
Maestro is in there. I think Barbie is a guarantee. I think Poor Things is probably a guarantee, so that's 5. And
The
then I think
Holdovers,
The
I think, is a
Holdovers is
guarantee.
probably a guarantee
The
as well.
Holdovers.
Yeah,
And then when you look
I
at
would say
those,
like American Fiction is more like a probably.
yeah,
Right.
but
Like,
when you look at those remaining ones, I mean, it feels like you could kind of at this point say Past Lives is kind of like the one with the best odds out of those remaining. Like you could probably say Past Lives is going to get a Best Picture nomination,
yeah,
which
I'd have to,
obviously Owen isn't a fan of. But
either
yeah.
Past Lives or American Fiction probably isn't that next year.
Yeah, it seems like Past Lives has more support behind it than I thought it would. So I think then you're looking at Zone of Interest, Anatomy of a Fall, American Fiction, like May December. Obviously, and the fact that May December is getting nominated across multiple acting categories is probably a good sign for it in terms of getting a Best Picture nomination. We could move on to some other awards, but yeah, that's definitely something to monitor as we get closer to award season. Best Director, we have Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Greta Gerwig for Barbie, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, and again, Celine Song for Past Lives, which I was not expecting because I thought Laser might get in here for Zone of Interest. That was not the case. Obviously, at the Oscars, only
so hard to gauge.
Yeah, well, the thing is, yeah, that's you can't like be too, especially the one thing that I think translates the least is acting categories at the Globes, kind of, because there's way more acting nominations at the Globes than there is at the Oscars. But like for director, 5 spots at the Oscars, 6 here at the Globes, and I feel like, I mean, Celine Song off this list is probably the one that gets left off most likely. Like we're probably going to get Bradley Cooper, Greta Gerwig, Yorgos, Christopher Nolan, and Martin Scorsese. Like
I would legitimately bet money that those are the 5 people that are nominated.
Yeah,
for
I mean,
Best
it
Director.
feels it feels
Like,
like those are going to be the Best Director picks, which
I would rather have
Nolan's
some
here,
other
it's
people.
Nolan's here.
Sure. I mean, well, listen, like the
And
thing, of
I-
course, yeah,
Oh,
the thing, of course,
dang.
is like when we talk about
like
That's the
obviously our desired picks are do
Paddington
not
too,
line
man.
up.
Yeah,
with,
no,
like,
this
award
isn't.
season
But
stuff. So
from
Paddington
granted, like
too.
we're not like experts. We're not. Or
sure,
we don't pretend to
and
be experts.
we will talk about at one point soon stuff like kind of our picks for the year's favorites types of things. But
I'm gonna
as
do a
far as
little
like
sneak for my picks for the year's favorites that we're gonna do in 3 months. I think you said this is Nolan's year. It might be a secret Scorsese year.
Scorsese win,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Well, I'm not okay. So I was talking more about our
That man is old as shit.
That's exactly.
That's
That's why.
point. Yeah. They're gonna give him.
I was not so much
freebie.
talking about predictions as I was saying like
man.
we're gonna cover who our favorite directors.
Oh yeah, we will.
of
That'll
the
be it.
year are and
We'll
stuff
do a
like
whole.
that.
We'll do like a
yeah,
big thing for that. Yeah.
Right, but little insight, but no, yeah, I think those 5 directors we named are probably the ones that get the Oscar nominations. As for best screenplay, we have Barbie, Poor Things, Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Past Lives, and Anatomy of a Fall. I think the difference between the Globes and the Oscars is that, like I said, more acting nominations at the Globes, but less screenplay nominations because the Oscars separate them into adapted and original. Here at the Globes, we just have these 6 screenplays, so it's pretty hard to gauge because, like, you could probably confidently say that all 6 of these screenplays are going to get Oscar nominations, but there's still 4 more screenplay spots that
aren't like
aren't
5 of
included
these
here.
screenplays adapted technically?
So Barbie is an adaptation, right?
Oppenheimer and
For,
Killers of the
like,
Flower Moon are adaptations of books. Is
right.
Poor Things
Past
an
Lives
adaptation of a
Past
book?
Lives is original. I don't think Poor Things is. I think
And
Tony
is
McNamara wrote
okay.
that as an original.
And is
I could be
Maestro an
wrong about that.
adaptation?
I mean,
It's an
it's
adaptation of
very-
someone's
Maestro's
life.
not on. Maestro's not on here, and Anatomy of a Fall.
Four
is the
Things
sixth
is like
one.
very loosely.
Oh, sorry. I was yeah.
Oh, is it?
Frankenstein,
Okay.
I
So,
mean,
yeah.
I know it has like it's riffing like hard on Frank. Like it's that. I mean, it doesn't. Count.
Right. And I just saw Poor Things last night. Like I said, it's which I think is I think it's deserving of a screenplay nomination in one of those 2 categories. I think the one, if we're going to talk about like snubs here a little bit, and you guys, I mean, Owen will agree with me. I know, Doug, you haven't seen it, but I was pretty upset to not see May December included in these 6 spots, because I think that's one of the best screenplays of the year. Not to mention a debut feature screenplay that it's the writer's first feature script, which is crazy.
She's writing like another pretty big project.
I think so. I think I heard about that.
Yeah, no, she is. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up. Keep talking.
While you look that up though, I mean,
the May December girl.
Yeah,
like maybe not the right way to refer to that screenwriter. I feel like we should get her name.
Who is it?
I don't remember her name. I'm just saying
Sammy Birch.
Sammy Birch. There you go. Yeah, I mean, it's just like an excellent script. I think it should have been included, but like I said, I don't think this is the one to stress over.
It's Coyote versus Acme.
Yeah, Coyote versus Acme.
Right.
Yeah, she wrote that.
Yeah, that's right.
Hell yeah, John Cena.
Yeah, like I said, these 6 are probably all locks to get Oscar nominations. Like, we know that because there's more spots to go at the Oscars. We get into the performances now. So
this is when things get fucking scary as fuck.
But this is so this is the thing. Like I said, there's way more acting nominations than there will be at the Oscars.
If Saltburn gets nominated for any Oscars, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind.
Right. We'll get into that. Let's go one at a time. So best performance by an actor in a drama. We have Bradley Cooper in Maestro, Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer, Leonardo DiCaprio in Killers of the Flower Moon, Coleman Domingo and Rustin, Andrew Scott and All of Us Strangers, and Barry Keoghan and Saltburn, like you said. I think of this field, you can pretty much guarantee Bradley Cooper, Cillian Murphy, and Leonardo DiCaprio will all be getting Oscar nominations. So that's
probably the only 3 of these 6 guys.
Yeah. Coleman Domingo no, but he's very much on the fence. He's very much in the fight for that final spot.
Euphoria zone.
But Andrew Scott and Barry Keoghan, I think we can confidently say will not be getting Oscar nominations. In the case of Andrew Scott, that's pretty. I mean, I haven't seen the movie, but I think he's probably great in it, and I just like Andrew Scott. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see him be an Oscar nominee.
I'm just a fan of that guy's work.
He rocks. Yeah, I don't know if you saw his little like thing with Paul Mescal where they were quizzing each other, but
I did see that about like their boyfriend dates.
Yeah, well, they're like they just I don't know. I imagine their chemistry in All of Us Strangers is really good because they are really fun together in like the press that they've done. But he won't. Coleman Domingo is the one guy on the fence there. I'll jump ahead to Best Actor Musical or Comedy so that we could tie those together. So
the real actors.
Best Actor Musical or Comedy, we have Nicolas Cage in Dream Scenario, Timothée Chalamet for Wonka, which we just talked about, Matt Damon in Air, Paul Giamatti in The Holdovers, Joaquin Phoenix in Beau is Afraid, and Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction. Of those, we know Paul Giamatti is a lock. And
it's probably going to be the
Jeffrey
top 3.
Wright.
It's probably going to be Cooper, Murphy, DiCaprio, and then Giamatti
and Jeffrey Wright. Yeah, but the Jeffrey Wright, Coleman Domingo race seemingly is still pretty close right now. I do think it's probably.
I haven't seen American Fiction. None of us have seen American Fiction.
None of us have seen. I'm seeing it next Saturday.
I'm excited. I think it looks funny.
Week from today.
But I think people are underrating maybe American Fiction like Oscar chances because it did so well. It was received so well coming out of TIFF. You know, like.
I mean, the thing is like I don't know all that much about. Because like a lot of these movies we're talking about, we have seen the audience reception to. We don't know like what is actually going to happen when American Fiction comes out, and we all get to see it and how we feel about it. I do have a couple of friends who have already seen it and really liked it, so that's like
friend of the
exciting.
podcast, Alex Coleman saw it at a special event. He said it was good.
Yeah, Um, but yeah, I think, like you said, I mean, obviously, some of those names that are included here are like only things that you would see at the Globes, like Nicolas Cage for Dream Scenario and Timothée Chalamet for Wonka. Like, obviously, these guys are not getting Oscar nominations, but and Matt
Beau's
Damon for Air.
bro,
Beau's Afraid
Joaquin
getting
Phoenix for
recognized is
Beau's Afraid
yeah,
rocks. That rocks. Being nominated in like Best Actor in a Comedy
yeah. I mean,
rocks.
that's like one of those things where that's the only one I think where you could say it probably deserves a little more Oscar traction than it's gotten. Like, obviously, he's not going to get an Oscar nomination, but
A24 is
like,
not throwing any weight behind that shit.
yeah, of course, but because the movie's not really getting nominated in any other categories, they don't really
Man, they
have a
lost,
thing to
bro.
campaign.
They
Um,
lost so much money on Beau's Afraid. It's crazy. That's such a
yeah.
what a crazy blank check from Ari Aster, dude. They put that in
um,
IMAX. Remember when they put
that's
Beau's Afraid in
true.
IMAX?
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
That's like
that's
what
tough.
the
That's
fuck?
tough. Oh well. Anyway, yeah, like we said, those I mean Paul Giamatti's a lock, and then Jeffrey Wright is very much on the fence with like a likely
Paul
nomination
G.
as of right now. Then for best
Giamatti
actress,
like killed it in Wonka. That would sick.
Oh yeah.
For best actress in a drama, we have Lily Gladstone for Kills of the Flower Moon, Carey Mulligan in Maestro, Sandra Huller in Anatomy of a Fall, Annette Bening in Naiad, Greta Lee in Past Lives, and Kaylee Spaney in Priscilla. Of those six, we can pretty confidently say Lily Gladstone and Carey Mulligan are locks. The
And
rest,
then
total
Sandry
toss up.
Holler, I think, is like right on the bubble.
Yeah, she's one of the well. This is the thing that I should have prefaced with this is that this best actress race is
There's a lot
like
of
by
people.
far the most competitive race. There is like there's no world in which the best actress Oscar nominees come out and we don't get a snub because even of these 12 nominations for the Globes, there's people snubbed. Like I think there's definitely some people that could have gotten recognized here. Tiana Taylor for 1001 in an ideal world would have been recognized here, but she did not. So that's what I'm saying. There's going to be snubs at the Oscars for this category no matter what. But Lily Gladstone, Carey Mulligan are pretty much locks. And then for Best Actress in a Comedy or Musical, we have Fantasia Barrino for The Color Purple, Jennifer Lawrence for No Hard Feelings, Natalie Portman for May December, Alma Poitsi for Fallen Leaves, Margot Robbie for Barbie, and then Emma Stone for Poor Things. Obviously, Emma Stone is a third lock. And then I think, I mean, earlier on, Margot Robbie felt like a lock for Barbie, but I think now really those three that I named are the only like locks. It feels like a lot of people
There's a lot
are
of people in the
competing
bubble.
for
Yeah.
those last spots, and it's gonna, in my opinion, it comes down kind of to I think a 3-person race between Sandra Huller, like you said, Fantasia Barrino for The Color Purple, and then maybe Margot Robbie for Barbie, and like 2 of those 3 getting in is
Yeah.
my guess. But even those other people could it would obviously, like I said, it would suck to not see Greta Lee recognized for Past Lives. Like I think she's amazing.
Or like Natalie Portman, like you
Or
can
Natalie
like
Portman for May
yeah. But
December.
I think
Yeah,
I think Greta Lee and Natalie Portman are both on the outside of the race looking in a little bit.
yeah,
Things
of
can change
course.
though. Like the campaign machine is just
That's
getting started.
it's worth mentioning. Like these I mean the Golden Globes happened in the beginning of January, but from that point, but for those months that pass between that and the Oscars, a lot of this stuff gets shaken up
Yeah, I
until
mean
those
Coda, bro,
nominations come
it
out.
was like
Um,
Coda won because of the like a campaign that started like a week before the Oscars happened, you know? Like
yeah. So yeah, I mean it's worth mentioning, but those 3 we named are Lily Gladstone, Carey Mulligan, and Emma Stone are pretty much in there. It's just a matter of all the people competing for those last 2 spots, and it's a long list of people. And then for best supporting categories, for actor, we have Willem Dafoe in Poor Things, Robert De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling in Barbie, Charles Melton in May December, and Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things. 5 of those 6, in my opinion, are gonna get Oscar nominations, and I think it just ends up being that the 2 Poor Things performances get split. After watching Poor Things last night, it's definitely going to be Mark Ruffalo that gets the nomination, which I think a lot of people are very confident that he's the better performance. I don't really know that that's true. I think Willem Dafoe has some really good moments in the movie, but as far as like Oscar nominations go and like who people are going to be voting for and kind of like how behind Mark Ruffalo people are going to be, it feels like he will be the performance that gets talked about more, because he's doing things in that movie that we have not seen Mark Ruffalo do before. Like, we're used to Willem Dafoe being
Does
a
he turn
weird
into a
guy.
big green man?
He does not, no. but you know what I mean. Like, we're used to Willem Dafoe. We're used to Willem Dafoe playing the kinds of weird characters that he's playing in this movie. Like, it's nothing new. Mark Ruffalo is like doing things that you just haven't seen in a Mark Ruffalo performance, and he's pretty funny. Like, he's really funny in the movie. But I think those other four like are in there for sure.
It's-
Robert De Niro,
It's
Robert
the
Downey
year of the
Jr.,
Marvel
Gosling.
actors.
You think
acting
Gosling's for
again.
sure? You think Gosling's a lock? Would
Yeah,
you-
I think so.
Really?
I mean,
Interesting.
yeah, I would say so. I mean,
I don't know.
I don't like, because in my opinion, I just don't see a world where Barbie doesn't
He
get
should
a
not be
ton of love. at the
incentivized to be in
Oscars.
these bad movies.
Well, I just think it's a tremendously overrated performance.
Sure,
Yeah.
but I mean, I
Um,
really like it because I think he's hilarious. But I don't know. There's definitely other supporting actor performances that like could be in there, but we're talking about,
yeah, I know.
we're
like,
talking about potential
Oscar-
nominees,
yeah,
not our
yeah,
favorites. And I
yeah,
think it's safe
yeah.
to say that Ryan Gosling is probably a lock in terms of when like the voting actually happens. And I think Charles Melton at this
Well,
point
yeah,
is definitely a lock as well.
I don't. That's just
Um,
so. It's so. This is when I get annoyed when talking about Oscar stuff, because it's like because we're like, oh, like Ryan Gosling is almost like he's like really probably gonna get nominated, but like Margot Robbie's probably not. And I'm like, I think Margot Robbie's performance is kind of awesome.
Well,
It's
but
like-
to be fair, I get what you're saying, but I think you're talking about a weaker race versus a much stronger one. You
Sure.
know, like, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't think anybody's saying that Margot isn't better than Gosling. It's just that Gosling has way less competition than like that stacked Best Actress race.
Yeah.
So I like, that's definitely worth keeping in mind, I think. And then for Best Supporting Actress, we have Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks in The Color Purple, Jodie Foster in Nyad, Julianne Moore in May December, Rosamund Pike in Saltburn, and Divine Joy Randolph in The Holdovers, who I think will be the winner of this if we were going to call it super early. Like, right now, I mean, she has like a lot of buzz behind her, so safe to say that she's a lock. I think the rest of these, though, I mean, Emily Blunt's a lock for Oppenheimer,
Yeah.
and I think there's a world in which two people get nominated for The Color Purple, not just one. But the Globes only included Danielle Brooks. I think it's possible that we get more than just Danielle Brooks, but we'll see. I think Taraji P. Henson is like a pretty surprising omission in this group. I thought she was going to get nominated, but because I don't know, it's like for example, like with Jodie Foster and Nyad, like she has a lot of support behind her. Nyad is also like I still haven't watched it, but like nobody likes that movie.
Yeah.
So the fact that it would be getting, I mean, this is really the only situation where it gets an Oscar nomination probably is in this Best Supporting Actress race. I hear she's fantastic in it. Like, I'd have to watch it to confirm, but I hear she's great in it. It's just that, I think when it comes down to it, like stuff like that could matter if it's like, if they're on the fence about nominations. And then Julianne Moore, I think, has more buzz around her now than she probably did before, now that people are seeing May December, and she'll probably get in. And then we get to some of the what is it, animated and stuff like that. Oh, actually, score, Best Original Score. We
Oh, that's
have
interesting.
I'm just gonna read the movie names because
Is
that's
Asteroid
easier.
City nominated?
We have, so the movies nominated for Best Original Score are Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Killers of the Flower Moon, The Zone of Interest, Across the Spider-Verse, and The Boy and the Heron. I think there's some cool inclusions here, though. I'm happy that The Boy and the Heron got a nomination. I think that score is really good. I mean, I just watched Poor Things yesterday. Like I said, I think it makes sense that that one got in.
Wait, did you see The
Oppenheimer.
Killer?
No, I did not. I said
Oh
Killers of
my
the Flower Moon. What?
No, the scores I like are nominated.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, you haven't seen Zone of Interest yet. I'm sure you'll like that
That's
one.
true. That's true. That's true.
And also, like, I mean, you like the Coast of the Flower Moon score and Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I
a
like
little
that
bit,
score a
right?
lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
the
don't know.
Oppenheimer score is
knew
good
about
too. I'm just sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Your favorites. You're talking about your
Oh,
favorites.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't think this is a bad field of nominees, I guess. Obviously at the Oscars, 5 of these will get in. I don't know that like something like The Boy and the Heron gets recognized at the Oscars, even though that would be pretty cool. But
No, I think it
um,
will. I think you're underrating how Miyazaki's power here.
Sure, but
Because this is also like this is I think like this what we were talking about, like how it's like, oh, like Martin Scorsese's really old, like this is like
well,
this
it's
could
definitely.
be
I
his
mean,
year. That's like for Miyazaki, it's like that times 10 because like this is probably
right,
going to be his last movie because
but
he's fucking 83.
but I think it's what I mean is specifically for score, because I think Boy and the Heron could win for animated, and we're gonna get that into that in a second. But I think it has a lot of support behind it for best animated feature. I just mean in terms of like scores, like you could pretty much guarantee Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Codes of the Flower Moon getting in there.
Oh, there's
Um,
only 5 spots, isn't there?
right, yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I don't know. I feel like something like The Boy and the Heron maybe gets left, even though I thought that score was fantastic. Like that was one of my favorite parts of the movie, maybe. But then we get to the worst named category in like awards show history. I don't know how the Golden Globes still have this as a category, but Best Picture non-English language,
I'm gonna get
which
George Carlin on the phone, buddy.
which includes Past Lives and the
and
nominees. But let me
and
read all of
Anatomy of
them.
the Fall.
Oh yeah, and Anatomy of a Fall, but that's
Both
like
are
no, but that's different because Anatomy of a Fall is going to be in. It's not France's choice for international feature, so it can't be nominated for best international feature at the Oscars. But if it were like, it is still it's still a French film,
Wait,
even though a lot of it is in English.
what did France submit? That's a really dumb move by them.
No, they submitted a movie that apparently is really good that none of us will be able to watch until like February. The Taste of Things.
Oh, The Taste of
Which
Things.
I'm
I heard that
really
was really
excited to watch.
good.
Yeah, I hear it's
Yeah.
fantastic, but it's not getting a theatrical release until like February of 2024. So that's like
I
a
think,
next
but
year movie.
for awards things,
Um,
I think they dropped the ball because Anatomy of a Fall would probably win best foreign
sure,
picture at the
sure.
Oscars.
But like I said, that's not included. But so let me just read the nominees. They have Anatomy of a Fall, Fallen Leaves, Io Capitano. What I don't even know about that movie, but Past Lives, Society of the Snow, and The Zone of Interest. I think Anatomy of a Fall not being included in the potential Oscar nominees means that Zone of Interest is like probably going to win this one at the
Well,
Oscars.
this is the thing,
Um,
right? Because Zone of Interest is the United Kingdom officially submitting Zone of Interest?
I hope so.
And has the United Kingdom ever won in this category?
I don't I don't think so.
Have they ever
Maybe?
even
I
been
don't know.
nominated in this
I
category at
mean,
the Oscars?
I wouldn't be able to tell you off the top of my head, but also worth pointing out, I think, is Fallen Leaves, which I've been hearing about a lot recently, that I'm like, I really want to watch Fallen Leaves. Apparently that one
I
is really
really,
good.
yeah, I
And
really want
and
to
I
watch this movie.
imagine that's probably going to be one of the Oscar nominees. I wouldn't be surprised if something like that wins at the Oscars. Because even like we were saying before, when we were talking about Best Actress, she was nominated for Fallen Leaves. Alma Poitsi, like I said before, is nominated for Fallen Leaves at the Globes for Best Actress. So like that movie definitely has a good amount of love behind it. I'm interested to see it because it is not playing anywhere near me or anywhere near you guys, I don't think. But um, then we get to Best Original Song, which is just a crazy. We don't have to talk about this one even. It's got 3 nominations for Barbie, which is just insane. We'll just move on. This is like the only thing that's worth mentioning is that it's very funny that
The
Barbie
Wonka
ended
songs
up
are good.
being. Yeah, they are, but it's funny that Barbie and when they released the nominees ended up being at the top of the list with most nominations, but it has 3 nominations for Best Original Song, which is why. And there's
The
no
Bi-
technical awards at
wait,
the
it's the
Globes.
Billie Eilish and the Dua Lipa song? That's crazy.
and
Um,
and the Dance the Night song. Yeah, wait, no, that's the Dua Lipa song. I meant
yeah.
and I'm Just Ken,
Yeah,
the
and I'm
Ryan
just Ken.
Gosling one. Yeah, so it has 3 nominations at the Globes. But
Listen,
again, this is another one where the Globes have 6 choices and the Oscars have 5. So maybe one of those Barbie songs doesn't get selected. If it comes down to like if this isn't really a category we care all that much
listen,
about, but still like 3
I
nominations in
like
one category would be crazy.
I like the Dua Lipa. I like Dua Lipa. I'm a Dua Lipa fan. I
I
like
like
that
all
Dua
the
Lipa
songs,
song a
but
lot.
picking
If that Dua
3?
Lipa song is
What would you
nominated
have?
at the Oscars, this is that's a fraudulent award show
I
at
just
the
think
Mickey Mouse
it's
Award.
really, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like we see it sometimes with like best supporting actor or best supporting actress, right? Where like a big ensemble cast gets like 2 people into like an Oscar nomination, but like if 3 songs of the 5 choices at the Oscars are from one movie, like that's kind of crazy since like that's the only like it's not like these movies get recognized across a bunch of categories, but best original song for these people, like this is their only like Oscar
Also,
potential. Like
I'm Just Ken
um
getting so much push for best original song is also stupid.
I
I
mean
think
sure,
it's a
but
fun moment in the movie, but it's like, what was I made for? That's like kind of like the Billie
it's
Eilish
a
song.
yeah,
That's
that's
like
what I mean.
that's the whole thing. That was like the, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. Just something to keep track of, I guess, but it's not that important. Then for best animated movie, we have The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Super Mario Bros. Movie, Suzume, and Wish.
Okay,
Um,
what gets knocked off, Suzume or Wish?
well, here's the thing. I think
Suzume,
Suzume
sorry, you gotta go.
there's
It's
it's worth
Disney's here.
considering it's worth considering that at the Oscars, I think these look a little bit different because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is not included here, and I don't see how the Oscars would not include that.
But you have to take something
Um,
out. Are you going to take out the Pixar movie?
Yes.
well, here's the
Fuck
thing.
the Pixar movie.
I think Wish
Wish blows.
probably gets nominated despite it not being that good. Apparently, I haven't seen it, but and then like
You
Elemental
should
is
watch it,
probably
Kevin.
also
Kevin, I think you really like it.
I don't think I will, but and then
Movie of the
Elemental
year.
probably also gets nominated despite people not liking that one as much. But like The Boy and the Heron and Spider-Verse is the two movie race in this category. Like those that one of those is winning the Oscar probably. I don't know that
Yeah.
Suzume gets nominated at the Oscars, even though that would be much cooler because that movie is better than a lot of the potential other nominees. But I don't like I think the Super Mario Bros. Movie could get knocked out at the Oscars, even though it's like it's a big box office movie, which is like something the Golden Globes kind of value, but I don't think the Oscars are going to care about it that much.
The reason why I think that the Super Mario Bros. Movie probably isn't going to get knocked out, and prove me wrong, I don't like this movie, so I don't give a shit. But like,
Fair enough.
but it's just because like it made so much money that like everybody voting on the Oscars will have seen it. You know what I mean? So
Sure,
it's
yeah.
like,
I mean, that's always
And they
worth.
all hated it.
I just don't. Yeah,
it's a
I don't
good
know. I'm
movie.
just saying. I get what you're saying. I do think it has the potential to get. I mean, one of these. I think at least, and maybe this changes, but I think at least technically two of these movies have to get knocked out since there's 6 here and only 5 Oscar spots. But I think one. I think something has to get knocked out for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I just like. I feel like the Oscars are gonna give that an Oscar nomination. I don't know. Maybe this is a sign that people don't care about it as much as I thought they did, since it didn't get a Golden Globe nomination. But I just don't really see how that gets left out. I don't know, but like I said, it's a 2 movie race. Like it's The Boy and the Heron or Spider-Verse, and I think that's actually like one of the more interesting Oscar races because, like you said, like there's that love for Miyazaki. There's also a lot of love for Spider-Verse. Like it's like, of course, I mean, Into the Spider-Verse won this award in the past. Like,
Yeah, if it's not The Boy and the Heron, it would kind of suck.
yeah, I mean, I think it's more deserving, I would say. And in all fairness, I probably still like Across the Spider-Verse a little bit more, but I think it would be
Wow.
boring. Okay, what? It's not a big deal. Like I like this. You guys know I like the
Wow.
movie. We podcasted about this earlier this year, but it's like
Let's podcast
like
a little more on that.
no, it's like I love the movie, but I'm just like I mean, Into the Spider-Verse has already won this in the past. I think The
Yeah.
Boy and the Heron
Can we
is
take that
like,
award away?
no. I mean, I don't remember exactly who the nominees were with that one, but I think that was a pretty weak year for those. Like, I think Into the
Oh, that's
Spider-Verse just
probably why I
completely
won,
ran
yeah.
away with that one. Okay, shut up. And then finally, we have the silliest award, but I think it's fun to talk about, so we might as well, which is that the Golden Globes added the Cinematic and Box Office Achievement Award, which includes Barbie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, John Wick Chapter 4, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, Oppenheimer, Across the Spider-Verse, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour.
No, they're gonna give
It's
it to
a-
Taylor
I
Swift.
I was gonna say it's a
bro.
2-horse race. It's either Oppenheimer or The Aerosaur. It has to be one of those movies.
feel like you can't
Oh,
exclude Barbie like that. Oppenheimer and Barbie are a package
just
in
did.
this category.
Um,
In the cinematic and box office achievement category, I think
Yeah.
Barbie and Oppenheimer have to both be in the race.
Super Mario.
If
bro.
they give the award to
exist in
Barbie,
that.
this whole, I mean, we already know the Golden Globes are a fucking sham, but like that's crazy.
I think this
Shame.
category is silly because like it's hard to like tell how they're measuring these achievements, but I think it should be measured in terms of like
Girth.
okay. I think it should be measured in terms of like how well these movies performed in terms of like maybe like in the sense that they were surprises, and like in that sense, like Oppenheimer making almost $1 billion is a huge achievement for the type of movie that it is. The same
But
way
Mario
that
made $1 billion. So.
sure, but I mean that movie's not even nominated in this category. But then it's like you look at these other
Not-
ones, and it's like that. Why are they even included? Like you know what
Where's
I'm like? It's like
Mario?
I mean
It is.
You said
no,
Mario. You literally said
oh no,
that.
it is. Yeah, it is. I'm
Right.
sorry.
You told me Mario.
There's a
and
lot
then
of there's
you
a
said
lot
no
of nominees.
Mario,
I'm
and
sorry.
then-
I got distracted. But like there's
$1
I don't know,
billion,
like, there's
Kevin.
like there's like movies that like aren't like it's like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is not like a
Achievement.
higher grossing
for the
movie than like a
movie.
lot of the other
Neither is
MCU.
John Wick. Like, yeah,
That's what I'm
like,
saying. Yeah, like John Wick Chapter 4 is
Yeah,
just what you
fuck John
expected
Wick.
as a sequel to the previous 3 John Wicks. It's like you
Yeah.
knew this was going to make money. It's not like it made like it's not like it
Lawrence
overperformed
Fishburne.
like dress. Even like the new Mission Impossible. It's like these are just like big
the new Mission
blockbuster
Impossible
movies.
underperformed.
That's what I'm saying. It's like they just
Tom
nominated a
Cruise.
bunch of big like blockbusters for like but you can't really pinpoint what the achievement is in any of these other than like the Oppenheimers
Jumps.
or like the Eras Tour or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
that's why I think it should be Oppenheimer or Eras Tour. Like that. Like,
yeah.
if it's Eras Tour, that would be funny. If it's Oppenheimer, it makes sense.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, even Barbie is like you knew Barbie was going to make $1 billion. Like, it's like we knew Barbie was going to make a bunch of money, and then it did.
nobody. Barbie making $1 billion didn't really catch anybody. By
Otherwise,
surprise.
otherwise, like if you're just
Only
talking about
James Cameron.
if you're just talking about who made the most money, it's like what's the point of that? Like, isn't the
You don't got
award just that
internet.
they made the most money? Like, you don't really need to give them a trophy for it, you know? Like, I don't know. It's yeah.
Hey.
Did you guys
Why are we
watch the
rewarding this?
James Cameron, Greta Gerwig actors
Yeah,
and
I
actors?
did.
I did not
I
finish
think
it.
it's really.
I started it.
I think it's really good.
I think it's really good too.
Anyway, that's our last nomination.
You
So
don't
we
got
could talk-
internet.
We could quickly talk about some regular news here.
We got more news.
Yeah, just like other stuff. It's not, the
somebody-
Golden Globes nominees aren't the only thing that happened this. I mean, you're going to be excited about the first headline. I included this first for you, Owen.
What does it say? Rebel Moon is hacked.
Ridley Scott to direct Bomb,
slashed.
an action thriller film said
Oh
to have franchise
man,
potential
I'm
and a
so
killer role
excited
for a
for
young
Bomb.
actor. Described to be in the vein of Dog Day Afternoon and Speed.
Yeah.
Tell us more, Owen.
Man, Dog Day Afternoon and Speed are totally different movies.
Well, I'm just people are like, this is Ridley Scott doing a Tony Scott movie.
Yeah, people were saying that.
And I'm just so excited for it. Bomb is such a sick title. It's like a very it reminds me of like an M. Night title.
Right.
Well, I'm just super stoked on who they're gonna cast for this role. There was a little blurb. It was like Ridley says like, "Hey, I'm gonna be out of here in a few, but this is a great vehicle for a star, a young actor that can propel him to be a star." That's what Ridley sees it as. It reminds me of
it's almost like I included that when I read the headline.
Yeah, it's like a Mission Impossible sort of thing. That's how I'm feeling. It's like this could do that. It's gonna be like the Tom Cruise thing for the next guy. So I'm really interested in see who gets that role.
Let's talk about it. Who would we want to? Let's go around the table.
Well,
pick,
I
like,
think
a couple guys that we would want to.
Well,
I wanted to when I
What
saw this, I wanted to look back at our like picks for our favorite young actors thing that we did. But I couldn't find my list, so I don't know if you guys still have
it's like,
list,
is this what's gonna save Tom Holland's life? Probably not. I don't know if he gets that role, but I think it could definitely help his ass, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it depends on how young we're talking. It's really I don't know what the role like that. The role is it's a very.
Is there a world? And I'm just gonna say this because he's like my absolute favorite, but I also was thinking about this when I watched his interview the other day. And I said this to Owen already. Like, shocking piece of information to process that Paul Mescal was born in 1996. Like he's so like the guy's only 27 years old. And he's
they're already
currently working on a Ridley Scott movie. So it's like, is there a world in which they want to work together
totally
again?
Yeah, that's a good call. That's a good call. That could be the case. I was thinking also like
awesome.
Jacob Elordi's probably already called Ridley Scott asking about the role.
Well, so that's what I'm thinking. When they had the Gladiator 2 talks, we're talking Elordi, Butler, Paul Mescal, Timothée Chalamet. Those are the guys there.
I think Butler would be interesting, actually.
Butler
I
in
think
that
that might be the most
Butler.
fun
I
choice
mean,
for something like
and
this
out of the
kind of
box,
movie.
he's a little bit older. But one of the names that first went to my head, we're talking about Ridley Scott doing a Tony Scott movie. Tony Scott works a lot with Denzel Washington. I think John David Washington, he's older, but John David Washington in that role would be really fun and also kind of fitting in that homage to Tony Scott there. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's so many places here. I'm really excited for this, and I can't wait till we get more news because I think Bomb from Ridley Scott is going to be really awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's a
agree.
cool. Yeah,
Doug, do you have one that you want to throw out there?
I was gonna throw out. This is an underrated guy. Halloween Ends very own Rohan
Okay,
Campbell.
all right, we're moving
Um,
on to the next headline.
He's not getting a phone call.
They don't even have that guy's number. Yeah, that guy.
Oh man, you guys are disrespectful.
The next headline, I mean, I had to include this because like Twitter's been again, you said before we talk about Twitter too much, but like this is just like one of the funniest headlines that everybody's been talking about, which is like Jason Momoa getting asked about the future of Aquaman, and he was like, the truth is if the audience loves it, then there's a possibility, but right now I'm like, it's not looking too good.
I wish he
Just
used
like,
different words. I wish he didn't say those words.
yeah, just like the funniest thing to say while your new Aquaman movie comes out this week.
Because like I think that I don't think he was talking about box office necessarily,
No.
but he could have been. I
Yeah.
think he was talking about like the situation in DC.
Have you guys seen the clip?
No, I just
I
saw
saw
the tweet.
I saw the clip, and the way that he, it's the same words obviously, but the way that he's, talking in the clip, it very much seems like just the way that DC's going, but it taking out of the context is very
Right.
much like this movie's not going to make any money.
Yeah, that's what everybody's interpreting it as, and I'm like,
But no,
Yeah, it
I
seems
mean,
more like he's just saying that he's not
watching the
gonna do
clip,
another
it's like,
Aquaman
hey,
movie.
in the way it's looking, like I'm probably won't be back as Aquaman.
Yeah.
I'm still excited for the movie.
I'm so excited for Aquaman.
I really hope it's not bad.
No, it looks good. The first one's good. I think.
Yeah, I have not, my expectations are that high. I think I'm gonna like it to an extent, and I'm just have fun with it.
I will be watching the first one sometime this week, hopefully.
You've never seen it?
I've never seen it, no, but I'm seeing Aquaman 2 on
It's
Friday,
fun.
so
It's really good.
I will be watching.
I'm not gonna.
before
I
that.
think Aquaman might be like the only. It's a series now. I guess because there's two of them, but it might be like the only one that is like successfully separate from all of like the baggage of being a superhero movie. Because it's
Right.
just like they're just like fun, like
It's
kind
really
of
fun
dumb
action movie,
fantasy
yeah.
movies, like action movies. Yeah, like
I mean, action. Yeah, it's really great. Beautiful
I'm
world
interested.
there from
Yeah.
James Wan. That little.
Yeah. Next up, Dwayne Johnson to play MMA fighter Mark Kerr in A24 movie from Benny Safdie.
So this is cool, right? Nobody's talking about the fact that Dwayne Johnson and Mark Kerr are the same age today. And he's going to be playing a young Mark Kerr from 20 years ago.
So somebody commented on my TikTok that I made about this and was like, "Oh, I wish like Dave Bautista did this instead or whatever." When I didn't know who Mark Kerr was. When I Googled a picture of Mark Kerr, I was like,
He looks
it makes a lot of sense that Dwayne Johnson is playing this guy.
He looks similar.
But also the picture of him as a UFC fighter looks a lot like what Dwayne Johnson looked like 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like because they're the same age. They're the same age. Like,
yeah,
and he's going to be playing Mark Kerr circa like early 2000s, like 2005.
Very confused. However, Mark Kerr also has hair, so maybe when they put hair on Dwayne Johnson, he'll look younger. I don't really know what.
I don't know. Everybody's championing this. I find it a very perplexing casting choice. Listen, like it's cool that The Rock's going to be in like a real movie. Like Benny Safdie's a good filmmaker. You know,
right.
Listen, controversies aside, right?
Right.
But I feel like I'm the only person that's a little perplexed because I'm like, he's so old for this role.
Yeah, I mean, it's confusing. I don't know. The thing is like I think like with the physical aspects of the role, it's not going to be difficult for him. So that's probably the plus, is that like a lot of these like former WWE wrestlers always go back to like WrestleMania events and stuff, and like they still have to perform. Like obviously The Rock's in shape. Like it's going to be very easy for him to get into like playing an MMA fighter and like fighting. Like that's not going to be a struggle for him at all. So I see it from that perspective. And like we said, this is probably the best thing that The Rock's going to be in for or has been in the past like decade, probably since like Pain and Gain, which I haven't seen, but I imagine is his last like decent role.
Yeah,
no, he's
Pain
good
and
at
Gain. What is it?
And then
Tales?
everything. Yeah, Southland Tales was before that. Yeah,
but
so
like
it's
Southland Tales, his age when Southland Tales came out, that's when he was like the kind of
That's
the
when he
right
should have
age
been in
to
this
play
movie.
Mark Kerr. Yeah, like
yeah.
I don't know. That's a
They're
good
gonna
point to bring up,
CGI
but-
him. They're gonna CGI
well, no,
age
that's
him
what
now.
no, I'm literally thinking like, are they gonna CGI him? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing again, this is like a very new piece of
They gotta put some
information, so
makeup on him.
maybe we'll know more because I mean that's gonna have to be addressed as we hear more about the movie
Yeah.
being made. So we'll probably hear more about it. But that's a good point.
yeah,
I
But
didn't-
no,
I
it's just
think
like it's
perfect
not like a
here.
big deal. I'm just like it is a little. It's just confusing to me because like I cannot stress how it's like he's gonna play Mark Kerr from 20 years ago when him and Mark Kerr are the same age right now.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
crazy. Like
Very weird. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, I don't
But
know. Whatever they do, hopefully they figure out a way to make
I
him look
think it.
younger.
I think it makes sense that any director that would kind of help The Rock back in it would be a Safdie brothers. You know, those guys seem to really be sports guys. And
Yeah, and they've worked with like Kevin
Yeah.
Garnett and like
Yeah,
they've
yeah.
turned people
I
who
mean, they
can't
have
who have
that.
never acted before into great
Yeah,
actors.
I think they have a sports card thing that they're working on or whatever.
Which is a fun, yeah. I mean, it's fun.
I think it
I
makes
sound like an
perfect
asshole
sense.
bringing that up about The Rock too, where it's like they've worked with guys who have never acted before because it's like this guy's been acting for 20 years. But
Yeah.
you know, in terms of like getting like a good performance out of him is what I should say.
No, I mean, but it makes perfect sense outside of the weird, age thing.
Yeah.
I think.
Then we have, which I think I saw Owen was pretty excited about, Christopher Abbott to replace Ryan Gosling in Wolfman, directed by Lee Winnell.
Well, yeah, it's a big switch here. We're going from Gosling's camp to Winnell's camp.
yeah,
Interesting, very interesting.
like kind of like jumping like it kind of feels like the movie's completely changed now. Like obviously same screenplay, same director, same creative force behind it. Just like
director.
Oh, not that they switched directors too, right?
Isn't Leigh
That's what I'm
Whannell
saying.
still
No,
directing it?
He's now directing. He was not attached to
Who
this
was
movie.
directing
Yeah,
it before?
I don't think Lee
Is it
Winnell was
Whannell
directing.
the place of Beyond the Pines guy, the guy who's worked with
Derek St.
right.
Fran.
the guy
Oh
who's
my
worked with
gosh.
Gosling. So that's the big thing. That's why I say we're moving camps here because it was really Gosling's guy. All that but now it's like it's a whole new movie now. It's just another.
Who he should be working again with, by the way, because that is a good director.
But
Ryan Gosling needs to be.
My thing here is I haven't seen The Invisible Man yet from Winnell because I really love those old ones because I think they're really silly. I think The Wolfman greater translates to this Winnell kind of style. So even though I'm hesitant to watch that Invisible Man movie, I could totally like it. I think The Wolfman fits this more gritty realism kind of thing.
You have to before you watch the Invisible Man, you have to like go in with the right expectations because
that's the thing.
it is a remake in like name only. It is a total reinterpretation.
That's why I
haven't touched it. I do think a lot of the ways that movie incorporates like the technology and like that stuff, I think it's pretty interesting. I don't know.
I think the movie's good, not great. I watched it because it was a COVID movie.
Yeah, I mean, The Invisible Man is a movie that I'm always going to remember because it was the last theatrical release before the pandemic. It was like the last big movie to come out.
Christopher Abbott, I think, is a huge get.
Yeah,
and
I mean, he's great.
I think he has that Ryan Gosling always felt too skinny. I think Abbott's got that physicality.
Yeah, dude, I mean, man. I didn't even know Christopher Abbott was in Poor Things until I watched it last night. When he shows up, like he's like perfect for the character that he's playing. I think he's one of those guys that I just want to see in everything. I like him a lot.
The Wolfman thing, it seems like that, The Place Beyond the Pines guy and Ryan Gosling dropped out as like a duo, like they both dropped out.
Yeah,
and Leigh Whannell, he wrote the screenplay, so it seems like he was just like, all right, I guess somebody has to direct it now. You know, like
that makes sense. I mean,
have you seen Upgrade by the way, Doug or Owen?
I haven't. No.
Okay, I don't think Upgrade's that bad. Like the guy could definitely direct.
I would have definitely like in a world where I'm able to see that Gosling version, I'll check it out for sure. But I think in terms of like we lose Gosling here, I think this is a totally like great
Yeah.
backup plan. Like I don't think we really lost a step there. I think this is still like a very interesting project, and the fact that this movie is actually going to get made and we're going to see it is the big thing, because that Gosling thing was
because I felt
floating
like it
around
wasn't
for
going to get made.
years, and I mean they're
So-
saying what, next year, October.
And this is people aren't like fucking tapped into these guys as much as I am, so like people don't really like recognize or like know about this. But I think this is interesting because this movie is now really becoming the birth child of the Jason Blum and James Wan collaboration that they've started, because it is Leigh Whannell wrote and directed it, right? Wrote it and is now directing it. Who is James Wan's guy? Like James, like a
He's
day
written a
one
lot of
James
his
Wan.
movies, right?
From day one they co-created Saw together. They created
Right.
Saw together, and like they did Insidious together, and they did The Conjuring together. Right? But also the co-writer for this Wolfman movie is Jason Blum's wife, and the only other movie she has ever written is the Dumb Money adaptation.
Yeah. Interesting.
But it's like, this is like, you know what I'm. It's like, it's interesting. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah. Well,
speaking
of, last piece of news here, you can tell me more about that, and I guess everybody listening more about this, Doug, because I don't really know about this whole world. But A24 has partnered with Kojima Productions for the live-action feature film adaptation of Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding. Would you like to give me some insight? Because I've never played this game. I don't really.
I love Hideo Kojima.
Right.
Owen just started playing Death Stranding.
Shit rocks.
Yeah, rocks. So we can do a whole episode about this, but we won't, obviously. Like Kojima.
Give us the rundown.
Well, we will down the line.
Yeah,
when the movie comes out, of course. Yeah.
In 7 years.
This is like a really big deal. And people, I don't think, necessarily read why it's a big deal, and maybe some people are like, whatever, it doesn't matter, because people have been saying this about Kojima forever, where they're like, the big criticism about Kojima, especially when Metal Gear Solid came out, and then even more so, when Metal Gear Solid 5 came out, and even more so when Death Stranding came out, is everybody was saying, like, hey, this man hates video games. He just wants to make movies, because they're like, because
you just like walk around and do stuff, right?
Well, yeah, because all of these games have really long cutscenes.
Yeah,
like in Metal Gear Solid 5, there's like 7 hours of cutscenes.
I did play that. I did play Metal Gear Solid 5, which I like.
That game is awesome. I like that game a lot. I like Death Stranding more, and Death Stranding has a lot of cutscenes, and the gameplay, because in Metal Gear Solid 5, you're running around shooting people. Death Stranding, you're walking. You're just walking.
Well, I was on YouTube, and it's like the Death Stranding. It's just like all the cutscenes. It's like 11-hour video on YouTube. It's like all the cutscenes.
And it's not like super spread out either. It's like there's like stretches where it's just like you're just watching a really, really long cutscene, and it's cool. It's cool. I'm dubious about this. For one, you got to get the right filmmaker involved, right? You have to get the right, because I think Kojima should.
I think he will.
I hope he does. That's the thing. I hope he does. If he doesn't direct it, that's like immediate red flags are going up. I'm like, oh god, this was, And if it's not Kojima, it has to be one of his friends, one of his fucking auteur friends. I'm talking like Nicholas Winding Refn, like really him. It's like it should be him.
Really? Am I mistaking this for a different thing? But like he's friends with Jordan Peele, right? Isn't there like
Jordan Peele, Del Toro, Ari Aster.
He's close friends with Del Toro. Is in Death Stranding.
He's like in the first like 10 minutes of the game.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a good list of people to potentially direct it, though. Like,
That's the thing, is if it's like not one of them and it's some like random guy, it's like over. We lost.
No, that's the thing. I really hope that he's directing it.
Would you say that there's like, does that seem like something that would be a good possibility? You think one of those guys getting attached to it?
Here's the thing. Kojima is so influential.
Right.
That he has so much pull. He has the most pull in terms of like the movie industry and like cinema as an art form. He has way more pull than literally anybody else in the gaming industry.
Is he the one who people always tweet about when like he tweets about like what movies he watches, and people are always like quoting it and be like, I wonder what he watched tonight. Like he just says like a movie is good or bad or whatever.
Yeah, well, he doesn't think they're good or bad.
Like a certain length on the movie.
No, right. They're just like, oh, what movie made him react like this?
Because he'll because he lives in Japan, and he'll always, whenever a new movie comes out, he'll tweet a selfie of him in the theater wearing a mask, and I'll be like, just watched, and it'll be some movie, and people are always like, whether or not like how much he likes it is depending on how much he writes about it. Because sometimes he'll just be like, just watched Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and it'll just be like a selfie of him in the theater. And then other times, like for Wonka, he wrote like a long like paragraph about like how good Wonka was. It's like
that's sweet. Yeah, that's so funny though.
And he meets with a lot of filmmakers. So like he has a studio in Japan, and he'll fly out people all the time to come. Like Ari Aster, like he just tweeted pictures of him with Ari Aster at Kojima Studios, and like tons of filmmakers that he meets with all the time. Like there's a picture of him with George Miller at the studio. There's a picture of him with, you know, obviously Nick Refn.
Stars too. I mean,
yeah,
Chalamet was just there.
Chalamet was just there. Like
So it's likely that a good director gets attached to this project. I mean,
it's hard to say. It's weird. Yeah, no, he has tons of influence. Like Jordan Peele is helping working on this. He has a new game called
OD, I saw that. Yeah.
That was just announced. That that Hunter Schafer is in it, confirmed. Jordan Peele also confirmed to be working on it. And there's a theory that now we're getting into like crazy Kojima theories. But I didn't think this is what this is going today. But there's like a theory that all of the filmmakers that he's been meeting the last like 2 years, like flying out and tweeting about like, oh, here's a picture with me and George Miller, and here's a picture with me and Ari Aster and Nick Refn and all these guys. There's a theory that all of them are working on this new game. There's a theory that like,
it's like all of these people are Hunter Schafer and Sophia Lillis, and then they're like in the
and that they're in the trailer for the game. Like there's a theory that all these people
imagine
been like
12 directors are directing the Death Stranding movie, and it's just
imagine you get to a cutscene and then Timothée Chalamet is just there.
So it's like the world for this Death Stranding movie, the world is our oysters. There are some haters. There's some Kojima fans
in Death Stranding.
Yeah, no, Matt Mikkelsen is the bad guy in the Death Stranding game.
It's like Leia
classic bad guy.
Leia Seydoux is also. Margot Crawley is in the Death Stranding game. Like the Death
Stranding game. By the way, this is like a total side note. She was also in Poor Things, and I didn't know that she was in the movie at all.
Shit.
She just showed up, and I was like, "Holy shit, what is she doing here?" Anyway, that sounds. I don't know. That's very exciting as somebody who is not familiar with the game at all. Like,
I mean, it's like
ends up attached to
it. Like ideal situation, right? Is Kojima's directing it, and like outside of that, it's like,
I mean, we could
literally anything.
Aside from the director thing, you could probably guarantee that like big actors are going to be attached if he's getting big actors in his video.
He gets big actors in video. He's the only guy that gets big actors.
You could probably guarantee.
Yeah, so it'd be weird if like some random bum was directing it and like actors you never heard of were in it.
Right.
And the way he's been tweeting about it. Kojima's Twitter, he's kind of like a must follow on Twitter. But the way he's been tweeting,
maybe I should go follow him right
now. The way he's been tweeting about it is like he's very much like, because he left Konami, that's where he did all the Metal Gear Solid games. He left Konami and he started his own studio called Kojima Productions. And all of his tweets about this movie have been like, here at Kojima Productions, we made 2 years ago, we made our first baby, and then in like brackets original IP called Death Stranding. And now we're finally working on expanding the Death Stranding universe by developing a sequel and like this new A24 movie. And it's like, all right. It's very funny.
All right. That is our last piece of news, so we're going to wrap up the episode there. You can join us next week for episode 46. It's going to be releasing the day after Christmas, so as our little holiday present, like we hinted at the beginning of the episode, we're going to be talking about Stan Brockage, our most requested podcast episode, and now those people who requested it will finally be getting it. But yeah, we'll see you next week.